In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Take a seat, Panther fans, because it's not perfect. It's not perfect. It's not even good. I can't even say good evening, good afternoon, Merry Christmas. I could say Lirum Hallelujah, because my man had all the points today. Lirum Hallelujah. As the Carolina Panthers have once again been held to under 7 points this season. Third time this season that the Carolina Panthers have been held to under 7. I went back and looked at the 2010 season for the Carolina Panthers. 3 games where they did not crest 6 points that year as well. So we are in the offensive productivity range of the 2010 Carolina Panthers as they go out there and really have a lackluster. I mean, I don't even know how to describe what we saw today, but I would say clown show. I would say giving up. I would say uncompetitive to the very most, as the Matt Rule continues to cycle out quarterbacks, and likely, and most honestly, the last game of Cam Newton's career in Bank of America ends in disaster for him, for the coaching staff, for the Carolina Panthers, for everyone involved, especially for us who are on the C3 Panthers podcast. And I've got to turn the mic over to my wheelman here, who's going to come out here and probably try to tell me how Cam Newton should be the starting quarterback next year, how Brady Christensen is going to be the best guy ever in the world. If you are upbeat right now, Cody Lashney, I'm going to come in there and I'm going to knock you. I'm going to knock you in your head. Man, this was pathetic. It was pathetic. Welcome.
Yeah, it was pathetic. But what else is new? The Carolina Panthers are pathetic. Our coaches are pathetic. Everything that the Panthers do is pathetic. Hey, who would have thought a 2-quarterback system where neither quarterbacks have enough time to get into a rhythm with any of their receivers was doomed to fail behind a terrible offensive line? Who would have thunk it? Oh, that's right. We would have thunk it, because it's everything that we've been saying on this podcast for weeks at a time, Tony Dunn. The Panthers are in a bad place. And I feel like right now, if you're in this chat room, you're in a bad place, but have no fear. C3 is here. We're here all the time. We're here to be your post-game therapy session. And you already know that we're joined by the best Panther fans in all of YouTube. You know them and love them. It's ATX19, Brad Dugan, Carter Cannon, Hector Macho Camacho, Seth Robinson, Shane Reed, Underground West, 10 Tizzy, Thomas Tomlinson, Vincent Leidig, Tony Dunn, and nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
I feel like Andy Dufresne, and that is a movie reference to the Shawshank Redemption, where my man had to crawl through 500 yards of shit to get to freedom. I have started that crawl this season. 500 yards of shit. We are going to lock arms and we're going to have to crawl through together, Carolina Panthers fans, because it is a mess. CK, Merry Christmas. Good to see you under poor circumstances.
Poor circumstances indeed. I listen, I mean, I don't know. I think we are just hoping to lose, right? But I don't know that we were hoping to lose in the manner that we have been. And I think that's why this stuff becomes more and more painful. And we'll talk about it. I think Cody and I have maybe different opinions on a couple of things. Cody didn't look at this as a complete loss. There were some positives. I think that's a bit optimistic. I think that there's a complete failure across the board. And I was saying that I'm almost of thinking Matt Rule is just legitimately tanking. Like it can't be this bad. Like, this has to be intentional. Like I don't know what else.
It's not
to say.
though. That's the problem.
I know, but I'm gonna
That's the
choose to
best
believe
they
it.
are today.
I'm gonna choose to believe it. Like that's the thing right now is I'm going to choose to believe it because if it is true that Matt Rule is here, then next year, obviously we're gonna have to deal with this for a while, right? And it's not great news, but it is news nonetheless that I think we all kind of saw was possible. And so if that's the case, I've got to have something to look forward to next year. Otherwise, we're just going to be this is going to be another depressing time of our lives here of being, Panthers fans. So,
Greg, Merry Christmas. Welcome back to being a Carolina Panthers fan. Yesterday, you probably got to spend time with your family, watching your beautiful daughters open gifts and be good people, as I got to witness. And then we have to witness this just bamboozle of the Christmas spirit, man. I'm telling you, this is the Panthers are trying. They are the Grinch that stole Christmas.
Yeah, they've stolen my entire season. It's not just Christmas,
my life,
season,
my
man.
podcast. Thanks, assholes, for stealing my podcast.
I think the biggest thing for me today that I saw that surprised me because I knew this game was going to be bad. Was just the stat that the Panthers are the second-ranked passing defense, and they kept saying it during the game, the second-ranked offense against the second-ranked defense.
Our defense
at
is
what
good
point in time? Yeah, at what point in time have we been the second-ranked defense? There is no way that stat is right. It's got to be.
I mean, we had historical games in the first 3 years, through three games of the
for
season.
3 games.
But
but against historically bad at terrible teams.
Exactly.
But this goes to the. I think it was who wrote Huck Finn? Mark Twain. Mark Twain said there's stats, damn stats, and lies, or something to that effect. Guys, you can tell me this Panthers defense is good all day, but they can't stop shit. And not that they've been given much to work with, but we heard that they couldn't stop the run left, and then them bitches just ran the ball up the middle for the first quarter. And then hit us with the left. They were setting it up. God, terrible. All right,
man.
Greg, thanks for joining the show. The number is 252-228-5098. That is 252-228-5098. Sound off on what this game means for the Carolina Panthers today, tomorrow, and in the future. Cam Newton's last game in Bank of America, I believe, may have just happened today, and it wasn't pretty. And I'll go ahead and start off with that. Cam Newton threw one of the most horrific passes today. He just lobbed it up.
No, if
you assholes tell me that shit's tipped,
but how is that the real?
No, it wasn't tipped.
Come on,
it wasn't tipped. His offensive lineman was in his lap, and his elbow hit the offensive lineman's helmet as he's throwing. So it wasn't even like it was not a loft. It was
just
like
go
it was
down, run out. I mean,
no,
come on,
he was
it was
throwing
just awful.
Was Sam
you
Darnold
thought he was
better?
going to get that out of bounds?
Was Sam Darnold really better today? I mean, both of them.
You know what? I would
were
say
bad.
this is that I want to talk about something I saw in the chat, but here is I will. All right, so you said that's the lead in. Well, let's go to the other one. Is that we cycle in Sam Darnold, right? And it looks like it's going to be just as much of a shit show. He's holding on to the ball, and he squirts out through and then throws this pass downfield to Shi Smith. And the crowd went from the play before booing his entry into the game to cheering. And I just looked at that play and I go, well, that's why people have some semblance of belief in Sam Darnold, because that was like, I mean, like he showed his physical attributes by being like just push the ball downfield on the run a little bit. It was a good pass. But other than that, where should we start, Cody? What is the lead in to this show?
So, okay. I mean, look, the lead into the show is obvious. The Carolina Panthers need to fire their head coach. And, the fact that Jonathan Alexander and Joe Person recently went out there and said that Matt Rule is pretty much, from their sources, going to have a third year in the NFL. And I don't know why you would do that. Like, why would David Tepper tell that to Matt Rule or tell that to anyone when there are 3 games left to go. You're not even done evaluating what your team did today. And look, I mean, everything is bad, man. How about this? There's so many places that we could start. Brian Burns on Tristan Wirfs was a terrible fucking matchup for Brian Burns. They were running at Brian Burns today. We are just not physical enough on the defensive line on our edge positions. Your Turgos Matos, I think, got in a little more today and played well. But for the most part, man, when they decide to get aggressive and physical and wanted to run the football, they were able to do that. When Tom Brady wanted to sit back and throw the football, he generally had enough time to get the ball down the field, man. And this is supposed to be our Pro Bowl defensive end. Our Pro Bowl defensive end, Brian Burns, well, when you put him on one of the better tackles in the NFL, he's not getting the job done. And then look, so, CK earlier said that, I thought there was some wins. No, there's one win from this video game.
He called it a video game.
Well, I mean, it might as well have been.
I wish it was a simulation.
We were playing Madden, and they were on fucking an all Madden team, and we were someone who's never picked up the controller before. But I think Brady Christensen played well today, and I know I'm not the only one that thinks that. Now, he wasn't 100% on all of his snaps, but going up against Shaquille Barrett, he got the better of most of those snaps. And I feel like if you would have seen him earlier this year, and if this would have been his 6th or 7th game starting at left tackle for the Carolina Panthers, then it would have been even better than it was.
Who had the better day today? Brady Christensen or Chuba Hubbard?
I mean,
you better say Brady Christensen. I'm lobbing these up to you, Cody. I'm lobbing them up.
Yeah, I mean,
Chuba Hubbard or
Brady
Christensen?
Christensen.
All right. Who had a better day today? Brady Christensen or Michael Jordan? I'm lobbing them up. You just go ahead and say it. All right. Who had a better day today? Cam Newton or Brady Christensen?
Brady Christensen.
Who had a better day today? Matt Rule or Brady Christensen?
Once again, Brady Christensen.
I'm telling you, man. Matt Fool, dude. This team looked uninspired at all levels. Uninspired. And the sad part about it is, and I'll turn the mic to the panel, you guys can lead with this, the rotation of quarterbacks. I mean, all right, so when we come in, they activate Sam Darnold to the active roster. And I kind of like the idea of like, hey, we didn't complete, because I think they lied about the injury. I thought that they were throwing Sam Darnold into the trash bin. But today, trying to go and play him, I think, in some ways showed that somehow they have some sort of interest or belief in the future of Sam Darnold. Anyway, the rotation of these quarterbacks, guys, from the beginning, listening to that broadcast with Mark Sanchez, I want to punch Mark Sanchez in his face.
Oh, I agree.
Do, man. It's like it was you guys were getting on Vilma. Sanchez is worse. But as we have to deal with this shit show, I mean, we're gonna have to hear the shit that people are dropping on us. But it started off with that rotation right away. They're calling for Sam Darnold, this and that. Let's look at the coaching performance by Matt Rule. Where we're at, almost 2 years into his tenure. What is there to believe? What is there to hang? Tell me one thing. Tell me one thing about Matt Rule that proves to us, or not proves, suggests that he's not a fool.
So, but there is nothing. And by the way, Matt,
I ain't got one, and I want to have one.
Matt Rule asked, talking about, the process and what they're going through. He apologized to the fans that the results haven't been there, but believes the process is 1,000% working. Hey, Matt, what the fuck would it look like if it wasn't working? What would it look like if it wasn't working? I mean, this is as terrible as it can get.
I mean,
we were the only football team today in the early window that failed to put up 10 points.
Yeah.
The only team in the NFL that couldn't put up 10 points.
When Skip Bayless calls you a joke,
Clown show.
Yeah, clown show. Yeah, you know it's bad. Like,
to be fair, the
Oh, yeah,
Buccaneers
let's
did
hear
do
it.
the
Be
same
fair.
thing to the Saints last week, but the Saints defense was much more well prepared for Tom Brady. With the
What did they do to the Saints last week? They lost to the Saints.
They-
Bro.
but they
got
held them
nothing
to
but
9
field
points.
goals.
I don't care about their
But-
offense.
But what I'm saying
being
is, if we're going to
shit show-
use that as if we're going to say that, the Buccaneers held us to under 10 points, the only team in the NFL this week to not hit 10, you got to also keep in mind the Bucs did the same thing to the Saints. The
I
difference
believe-
here is the defense was not able to do anything on our side of the thing.
Bro, we played a COVID-riddled Tampa Bay team.
Yeah.
An injury-riddled Tampa Bay team. They lost they have their best, like half of their squad was missing today. And I would even argue that they didn't even play a great game. And they still beat us by 27 or whatever it was, 25 points. Like, I mean, there were a lot of plays that they left on the field. They were not overly dominant on any realm of the game, particularly on D. You know what I mean? Like it was, I mean, they got all these sacks today. They got so many sacks, dude. I felt like I was in a porno. Getting bukkakied all over my face, man. It was like
You were in
just
a gay
ball
porn?
sacks everywhere.
At least you enjoyed it. Come on, you know you did.
No, not at all, man. It was the worst.
Oh,
It
you
was
don't
like a
sacks anyway?
humiliation sacks.
Yeah.
No, but like, I mean, really, they didn't even play. Like, if you looked at their game and the talent today, you didn't go, "Oh, that's the best team in the NFL." I didn't. I didn't go, "Oh man." I looked at the Carolina Panthers and said, "Holy shit, we may be the worst team in the NFL."
But yeah, but they could have been throttling down for all we know. Like, why beat the shit out of a JV?
They didn't have
squad?
Mike Evans. They didn't have Chris Godwin. They didn't have Leonard Fournette. They didn't have Levante David. What if they would have had all those? What would the score have been? 97. I felt like
So,
it was
by
like
the way,
Alabama playing a baby school.
The full list of people the Buccaneers were playing without today was Chris Godwin, Leonard Fournette, Antoine Whitfield Jr., Levante David, and Jason Pierre-Paul.
Oh,
They
Mike Evans. You didn't
still-
say Mike. You didn't say Mike
Yeah, I
Evans.
did.
though.
Mike Evans. I said it after Leonard Fournette. And they still got 7 sacks today and put up a 30 burger on us. Like, I'm sorry, Matt. You're a moron. There is no system. There is no brand. And it's not 1,000% working. Then he wants to go on to compare the Carolina Panthers to Jay-Z. He said, I believe it's 1,000% working. I just know no one can see it. And I apologize. As I tell our team all the time, it took Jay-Z 7 years. He had to start his own agency to become an overnight sensation. It takes time. So Matt Rule was over here
What
saying,
in the fuck are you talking about,
Exactly.
Matt Rule?
Exactly.
How can you even use that and that? What is he trying to relate to the black people on his team? Like, what is he trying to do with that?
I'm trying to
analogy?
sound cool, like he knows what, and he's trying to pretend that he has something to believe in down the road. And
like he's gonna be the
see-through.
best rapper in the last 30 years.
Yeah. By the way, all the Panthers need is all the years that he has on his contract. 7 years. My ass, dude.
Oh,
What the
yeah, you
fuck are
might get,
talking
yeah.
about? Crazy,
gosh.
dude. Man,
All right, so let's go. Let's start with I guess we'll start with the news that broke at the beginning of the game, and that was that the Carolina Panthers had activated Sam Darnold. No PJ Walker. Where are we at? I guess is that they said that there was going to be a plan to rotate the 2-system quarterback. You know, just last week Matt Rule said that the 2-system quarterback wasn't ideal, but he then triples down on the 2-system quarterback.
True.
What is the make of this? Is like and I gotta say, I know that Cam Newton has not played well, and people don't, I mean, it's not a good fanfare for him at the end. But I will say he's handled it with grace. Is that, I mean, he hasn't played well. He hasn't, the coach is already on his ass. They're cycling this and that. He has not been a dick about it. That's it. I mean, I'm not saying he's been good at quarterback either, but he hasn't been man. He's over there. I feel like trying. So more character. Kudos to Cam Newton. What the fuck is going on with this quarterback situation, guys? You tell me.
Well, Matt Rule, continuing to make excuses, says, yeah, nobody wants to play. His exact words, I don't think anyone wants to play two quarterbacks. We're not winning, so we weren't winning that game. So we were trying to see who can spark us and light us and move the ball downfield. And again, like, you're just throwing your players out to the wolves. Like, it's everything that I have said about Matt Rule this entire season. It feels like he is purposefully almost, which I know that it's not purposely. It's just his ineptitude. But he is putting our players in positions to fail. He does it all the time. He does it on defense. He does it on offense. But now this two-quarterback system, I mean, people really don't understand the amount of time and training and practice it takes for quarterbacks and receivers to get on rhythm and be in time with your pass protection. There's so much that goes into it. It's a team sport. How are you going to blame either of the quarterbacks truly for being thrust into this terrible scenario? I mean, to all the haters of both Cam Newton and Sam Darnold, there's a lot of stuff for them to go on today, a lot of stuff that adds to their argument. But at the same time, the common denominator is, even if you're a stan for either of those two guys, you were never going to see a good performance from either of them.
Right. Agreed.
From either of them, because this football team is so fucking bad. We're so not well coached. It becomes apparent that all of our coaches are in over their head. We have no true leadership on this football team.
I felt bad for both of them. You know, like I've hated players in the past. You know, like I pull favorites. I dislike certain guys. I feel bad for the players on this team.
I agree.
Like having to go out there and it seems like they're going through the motions, and poor Sam Darnold and poor Cam Newton. You know, I'm not even angry at Sam. I haven't booed him. I'm not even gonna boo him.
Right.
Is that, like, good gosh, is that we were sold this idea that, or at least we thought there might be some material evidence in this, that the New York Jets were so dysfunctional that led to to the reason of Sam Darnold being so bad. Poor guy got put on a more dysfunctional team. How about that? Cody, do you have any of that post? I want to hear this post game.
Yeah, there's a million.
Conference.
How about
Can we
this?
listen to it? Let's listen to some Matt Rule. I want to hear it. And let's react.
I did listen to a little bit. How about this? Do me a favor. Play like a call or two. Give me a second to round up. Yeah. Give me a second to round up all the clips, and then we'll play them.
Yeah, no problem. All right. The number is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. You can be part of the longest running Panthers podcast. It's the C3 Panthers podcast, and this is the post game show, as the Carolina Panthers have been once again held to under 7 points for the third time this season. I went back and looked at the 2010 season for the Carolina Panthers. Guess what? 3 games where those suckers were held under 7 points. Under 7 points. That is bad. That is bad. CK, as I pull up the calls, is there anything? What is there anything positive? I mean, is there one thing?
I can't.
I mean, and I've been searching for it.
The one positive is, like, I know we all kind of had this mindset. We wanted to be competitive because it's embarrassing to lose the way we did. If we were competitive today, that's one more reason for David Tepper to keep Matt Rule around. Right. I know that the reports are they're not moving on from him, but if this gets more and more embarrassing as the season goes, it's going to be really difficult for an owner to want to keep a coach that has lost every ounce of, confidence from their I guess their entire fan base. So, I mean, I don't think there's many people out there really rooting, outside of that one guy last week, rooting for Matt Rule to be sticking around,
Who my question is who could have confidence in Matt Rule at this point? You know, like even if you were under the most ideal circumstances
Right.
possible, like I don't know if there's anything to feel like I don't even know what there is other than, and I've been asking this to people who want to say that Matt Rule's coming back next year or should. And I feel like the only thing they ever reference is that other teams have prematurely fired coaches.
Yeah, I mean that's the only argument in favor of Matt Rule right now is, do you want to get rid of him and then risk him going somewhere else and being more successful? Or
I can't wait till he leaves.
At this point in time, I just don't like. I feel like the opinion from the fan base is so sour on Matt Rule. Like there's no saving this relationship.
I don't know how you could make an argument. I mean, like, I don't even think it's like usually fan bases are reactive. Like we are hyperbole. You know, we like
hyperbolic,
lend towards exaggeration.
Right.
But I feel like, I mean, I want to know the one person in the world that thinks that what is going on with the Carolina coaching staff suggests that we should run this back for more time. Like, I mean, I'm talking to even professionals. I'm talking whoever. Yeah. What is the thing?
The justification. Yeah.
So they're all gonna go ahead.
I just don't understand how other teams have fired people too prematurely is a legitimate argument at this point. And that is, I feel like I'm in a domestic violence relationship. And that right now I've been beaten up by my spouse over and over. And the only person that will say we should run back Matt Rule at this point or give him another day is the spouse that's been beaten who says he will change one day. And the evidence, the statistics tell you he won't.
No, he definitely won't. And then I'll tell you what the only argument in favor of Matt Rule will be, even though part of this falls on him. Not all of it falls on him. But the fact that the offensive line is so bad and that you had two quarterbacks who couldn't do the job that you wanted them to do, which, by the way, is 100%
your
his
fault.
100% his fault.
It's his fault. It's not their fault.
If they give him an off season where they make some O-line moves and maybe they draft one, again, listen, I'm going to go on record. Can I go on record right now? And I am. I'm going to go on record right now. This is what's going to happen. Matt Rule is going to be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers going forward. It doesn't matter how bad we lose to the Saints in Tampa Bay again.
Yep.
What's going to happen is Matt Rule should be fired this year, but Mr. Day Late, Dollar Short is going to wait until it goes bunk in the middle of the season next year when this is the same football team that we're watching in 2022. Matt Rule will be fired as head coach, but it won't be until next year. Hello, future self, playing this clip of me being right. Hi from the past.
Listen, I agree. I think you and I are on the same wavelength here, but I think it's for different reasons. I think that right now firing Matt Rule will do absolute garbage unless you hire an interim coach to be your head coach for next year. Like, there is no value in bringing a coach in next year, a brand new coach in next year. We're going to have Sam Darnold regardless. And if you really believe, if David Tepper really believes that Matt Rule is the problem, if that's a belief in his system, keep Matt Rule for one more year. You're going to have to pay him anyway, right? And no, hold on. Listen, Tony, let's be real about this. What are we going to do next year as a staff? Right now, if we fire Matt Rule, here is the series of events we're going to have. We're going to hire a new coach who is going to have little to no resources in the draft, a quarterback in Sam Darnold being paid $18 million next year, not enough cap room to be able to sign the free agents that we do have. And we have a situation where we don't have an offensive line, right? And so no matter what, a new coach coming in next year is going to be the worst thing for a new coach, because guess what? we're going to judge his first year the same way we judged Matt Rule's first year. And that is, listen, his first year is a wipe, we'll give him the first year, but if the second year isn't an improvement, we're going to give him the same treatment. Right now, I think Matt Rule is going to be here. And I think it's going to be because if you hire a new coach, you're putting that coach in a worse position than putting Sam Darnold in this game against this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense.
You can't handle the truth.
The number is 252-228-5098. Let's go ahead and jump into your calls.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
What's going on, CP Nation? It's your boy Jay Anderson hitting y'all up, man.
What up, Jay?
I had a nice Christmas, and it was even nicer today not spending time watching this team play. Even though this might be Cam's last year, I just, last game starting, I just can't stomach to see this whole crap go down. So I was going to finish up my weekend, but enjoying not watching the Panthers play. Anyway, I guess we're getting another year of Matt Rule, so I will not be watching 2022 Carolina Panthers.
Oh, no.
This doesn't make any sense that this man is still the head coach of this team, doing this 2-quarterback system. So I guess Cam is 2 and 0.5 against Brady. Because, he didn't fully start. He didn't fully start against this and fully played against this team, against Tom Brady and stuff like that. Anyway, man, y'all take it easy, man. This actually, the rest of the season, you just actually laugh. And I don't see how y'all can do it.
My man, I know. How are we going to do this show if you've already quit watching today, tomorrow, and next day? But look, he's still called into the C3 Panthers podcast. How about that? He's still that.
Hey, that's why we're going to be doing this show, because we've built up one hell of a community. Many of the names of who you're seeing on screen right now. And we're here for y'all, man. It's like if the Panthers are going to suck, we're just going to have to keep being that therapy here for you.
We are Andy Dufresne, bro. We are Andy Dufresne.
Tony,
we have to crawl through 500 yards of shit together to get to freedom.
One thing, Tony, and again, you hear what Jay Anderson said. Jay Anderson and Noah, same, man. If you continue to let this happen, you are taking your fan base and telling all of them your apathy is fine with me. Because, I'll play some Matt Rule here in a minute. They asked about him being booed off field. He said he deserved to be booed off field and that he was happy that our fans were passionate instead of apathetic. Well, dare I say it, we're kind of, there's a lot of passion. There's a lot of passion, but there's damn sure a lot of apathy as well, man. And that's the danger. If you continue to go down this road, man, you're just signaling to all your fans, you might want to take a year or two off, because we're still figuring this shit out to the point where we have no idea what kind of football team we're going to be even in the next year or two.
All right, let's go to the next call.
Panther Nation, what's up? It's Vincent from Chicago. I got to meet a lot of people for the first time at the Friday free-for-all on Christmas Eve. It was a pleasure meeting everyone. On to the game. Oh, my goodness gracious. We knew it was going to be a whooping. I knew, at least. It was all just a measure of how bad, how competitive could we make it. My biggest concern that I'd like to hear everyone mull over is what really is the identity of this team. We're in a rebuild, and I can't answer that question. I don't know what it is. What kind of offense are we? No one knows. Matt Rule doesn't know. Nobody knows. I don't know what the 2-quarterback system is supposed to be when they kind of trade off drives, and I didn't really see a whole heck of a lot of mixing up the downs. You have Cam Newton sitting on third down, and it's just, I don't know what we're doing. And this far into the quote rebuild, that's one question we should answer, and I think it's something that the management needs to answer. And then, of course, I always talk about management versus talent. These guys are so poorly managed that any talent they do have goes right down the drain.
Yep.
The O-line's fighting a war down there, and this guy hasn't. One of our tackles, he's in because someone's hurt, and it's just like, what do you expect? I'm sure everyone's going to say he's terrible, but they're getting steamrolled by some of the best rushers in the league, and it's like, man, at this point, I don't know. I don't know what we're supposed to do. So find the way forward. C3, tell me what the identity of the team needs to be, and what you do about mismanaging the tools that you do have. Because I would hate to, build, and then just manage it all away into nothing. So therapy session, someone hold me.
Wonderful call, Vincent. Wonderful
Thanks,
call,
Vince.
Vincent. I think you actually hit the nail on the head when it comes to us dealing with this season. It hasn't been about the wins and losses. It hasn't been about even individual player performance for me at sometimes. It's been the lack of growth, the lack of direction, and as you articulated, the identity going forward. And it's not even that we haven't found an identity, like we haven't nailed it out so much, but that it's so clear that we're not even close to finding one yet.
Right.
And I just want to put this up here, is that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers scored 32 points against the Carolina Panthers, held us to 6 today, and their quarterback only had 232 yards passing and 1 touchdown. They rushed for under 200 yards. In fact, this would be 70 and 65 is what 135. In theory, they didn't do anything great. Right. They rushed for 150 yards against us, passed for 230 yards, and beat us like we were bitches. So please, I think Vincent's right. You guys tell me, what is the identity of this team? And right now it's one of a loser and unprepared and over their heads. And I don't know how I can get behind Matt Rule anymore.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? You know what the identity of this football team is? We're the football team who's trying to find an identity. As cliche as that sounds, like we literally cannot do anything effective. And when you say that this is the number 2 defense in the NFL, and
it's a fucking lie.
We have teams putting up 20 plus points, 30 points. It's absolutely ridiculous, man. And then I also feel like, whenever we get into these criticisms, we genuinely don't criticize Phil Snow enough. I mean, they're poorly timed blitzes that Tom Brady is going to be able to take advantage of, which he absolutely did. The defense seems slow to make checks at the line of scrimmage. I saw Shaq Thompson making some changes at the line.
Why are you going to go after Phil Snow? The whole reason we don't criticize Phil Snow is because there's other things on the team that are far more pressing than the defense. And I'm not saying that the defense, and I've been number 1 on this kick, is who has the defense fucking stopped. They ain't stopped nobody. And last week, I was so mad at him when he said, oh, we have a pretty good run defense. They just run a lot at us. And then today, they just bludgeoned us up the middle. There was no stopping them. But Cody, you're right, is that he deserves criticism. The defense ain't as good as advertised, but it's not even close to the realm. It's like the totality of the team is a bigger problem. I don't even want to say the offense. The totality of the team is the problem.
By the way, shout out to R. Dan Jr. for the 199 love bomb. He says Rule isn't the problem. David Tepper is the troll.
Ooh.
Oh, buddy. And let me tell you, I put this out on Twitter, and it kind of picked up some legs. I said, according to reports, Matt Rule is safe for a third year. Why would ownership allow that with 3 games left to play? Oh, yeah, because David Tepper hasn't a fucking clue what he's doing either. Skip Bayless was right. The Carolina Panthers are a clown show. And again, Tony, like to us, it seems like common sense that you cannot start next year with Matt Rule as your head coach. Well, it appears that our sense and change purse isn't quite the same one that David Tepper is dealing with. He thinks that it's okay, and I guarantee you he's on this mindset with Matt Rule that, build up the team a little bit, give them another offensive.
Happen. After today, how does that message? At some point, a message gets stale. It's like me telling my wife, I may make some bad analogy, but like if you are a poor husband and you just keep telling your wife you love them, or you love them, it's gonna be better tomorrow. I mean, like, when does the message get stale, dude? Did it get stale after the Giants game? No. Okay. Did it get stale after the New England game? A little bit. Did it get stale? Like, at what point does that idea in the process is working? What process, bitch?
It was stale. It was stale against Philadelphia.
Oh, and here's a great kind of, I guess, link to that. Do you know how much fun we made of the Sirianni clip where he was like, we're going to have the best processes?
Yeah.
We're going to have the best processes. We're going to simplify the process so much that it's going to make the process so good that we're going to beat people. And it just seemed so ridiculous. It was like the worst pregame. Like, I got this job, like, why the hell are you going to hire this? The Philadelphia Eagles by far are a better team than the Carolina Panthers. His bullshit processes have outprocessed the Panthers by 1,000,000 miles. 1,000,000 miles.
A lot.
And Matt Fool is a fool, dude. And I'm so and if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But I don't want to be right.
You're not
This
wrong.
is Kevin from Charleston. On the Friday free-for-all, I said that the Panthers might have a chance to win this game. And kind of, because that's what the Panthers do. When they're having a losing season, they win one game to get out of the top 10. And I was wrong. They suck. I mean, this is Cam's last year. He's not coming back. He's not. I hope he goes to Cleveland where they have an offensive line, and he can compete for the job. But yeah, he's not going to come back here. And you know what? Fuck Matt Rule. On the last series, on the last fucking drive, you play Sam Darnold instead of Cam Newton. Like, how do you not play Cam Newton? That's probably going to be his last game if him sitting on the sideline. How do you not play him? This guy's a fucking joke. We're doing it for the culture. We got to build a culture of 7 sacks, a culture with no running game. The most yards of any running game today was Cam with 42. As always, Cam.
The season, by the way.
But, whatever, lose out. Hopefully they continue to get blown out this season so we can maybe be a chance we fire Matt Rule, which is being reported he's coming back. So I don't know. Fuck.
The feed on people's voices at this point, man, it's heartbreaking because you want to be able to, as a team, you want to be able to celebrate your team, the people that you've dedicated so much time and effort to following, watching, knowing, learning everything about that team, and to see just blatant, just horrible mismanagement of a squad to a point to where, the question earlier from Vincent, like, what's their identity? Like, I mean, the problem is I feel like we have less of an identity than we did last year. And that's so sad to think about.
That's the problem.
Like, you're supposed to be building a culture, and it just feels like it's constantly being torn down even more. So I don't know the direction that we go from here. But I mean, as much as I believe that Matt Rule is here, I hate that. I understand why he will be here next year, but I do hate that.
It's the absolute worst thing that could have happened. Like having a bad season, losing, like Tony said, goes back to Tony's point of wins is not what we wanted. We've lost the culture. It's not just the team, the players. Like we've lost the culture, man. Fans are giving up, and it's the absolute worst thing Matt Rule could have done for this team. It's like somebody brought up. He just as soon as he got here, he hit a time bomb right in the middle of the field, and it's just about to go off.
Yeah,
I mean, it's insane, man. It sucks.
Well, before we go any further, listen, some things change and then some things never do. And the only pleasure that many of our Panther fans receive when they come to this show is when they get their needs and their urges satiated. And we already know you're here. We know there's a ton of freak shows in this chat room. So we're not going to make you wait any longer, man. If you want your shame, fine. Have it. Talk to them, CK.
Hey, how are you doing? It's nice to see you around here. Do you have a boyfriend? Because I'm lonely. The Panthers have made me depressed, and that is not good for relationships. I need you, but I also need you to give me that little hit of dopamine by hitting that like button. If you haven't hit that like button, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Your Panthers suck. And if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan and you're in here, congratulations. Still hit the fucking like button. Subscriber shame.
Subscriber shame. 207 strong viewers watching. 76 thumbs up. Please hit the like button, man. You have more fun here than you do watching this terrible football team with these terrible coaches. Hit the like, hit the thumbs up. You know we're going to be here for you no matter what. That's what the C3 Panthers podcast does. Tony, let's continue.
I want to hear from Matt Rule a little bit.
You want to hear from Matt Rule?
Got any of them ready?
I got some Matt Rule. All right, how about we start with a real fun Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reference. Now, these are kind of video, and all the audio that I've been getting from the press conference is kind of low. So I'm hoping that you're able to hear it, but we'll do our best.
How do you explain to them that the process is working? Yeah, I don't know that I can say. I don't know that anyone wants to hear that, nor should they. You know, I just think when you look at most teams that start over, you know, in terms of like last year, you guys were called a rebuild. And I'd always try not to use that word. I'm like, well, you know, we're building. But like when you walk in the building and you know Luke Kuechly leaves, James Bradbury leaves, and all these people leave, they're not my, and you're kind of like, okay, who's left over? It's like you ever see the Will Smith Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? He's kind of
making excuses.
A lot of people left, and it's like, okay, we got to start over. And so I hate it for our fans that we're not winning, and I know how much.
So basically, saying that,
bro, we didn't need to win. We didn't need to win. We needed to look competitive. I didn't need to be the best lay you ever had in your life. I just need to not be the worst.
So we also have Matt Rule being asked about his 2-quarterback system.
Decision and the announcement that you would play both quarterbacks today had a lot of criticism, you know, mainstream media, and then the fans today with the boos when Sam went in. Can you kind of give us a little bit of insight on how you went? Did the game go the way that you had planned as far as how many snaps each guy would play, the timing of Sam entering the game?
Yeah, we planned on putting Sam in the second or third series. You know, obviously Cam did a great job on the first drive, led us down the field, scored a touchdown, just like, you know, next year we had a chance to score a touchdown, score a field goal, just like we thought he would. Yeah, I think the second drive, we moved the ball third down, and then we had the interception, right, which led to points for them.
Yeah, I mean, that sucked.
You know, that was really just, as I said, you know, a lot of respect for Cam Newton, what he brings to the table. He had the explosive run, a lot of things that he can do. You also want to see what Sam can do. When Sam got in there, you know, I thought he showed mental toughness. He's being booed by the home fans and went out and made an explosive play. So, you know, from where he was early on to where he was now, I think he finished 14 of 27 that they handed me. You know, a lot of those kind of under duress, you know, so I thought he was effective. I think both quarterbacks, though, as you look at it, to get 7 sacks and all that, I think they both had to, you know, hard to evaluate how they play without really watching the tape.
So to just be clear, like regardless of the interception, it was always the plan to put Sam in on the third or fourth series.
What I said was our second or third series.
Second or third.
Put him in. You know, but again, I don't want to make promises. And we say, hey, this is what I'm planning on doing. So both guys do that. We kind of see how the game played out. Put Cam back in the second half. You know, hoping that his combination of throwing and running could give us a spark. Got to be like a 2 or 3 score game, so we put Sam back in, and at the end it was truly just kind of a drop back game. So put Sam in that situation, see how he would respond. He moved us. We just weren't able to put those balls in the red zone down inside the 20. I certainly think he did move us. Had a chance for the touchdown to Amir. We weren't able to connect on that one. I saw a lot of good things from Sam today.
So again, it's just like a whole lot of like. What did
Nothing.
you gather from that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
tell
like,
me what did we learn from that? What did we learn from that?
No, I mean nothing. This is the clip that I have.
Did he get
him.
mad about the fans booing Sam Darnold?
No. So this is his answer. He was talking. It was asked about Matt Rule on the booing, and this is his answer.
People spend hard-earned money to come watch us play. It's part of it. When you're the head coach, when you're the quarterback, that's all part of it, and makes it that much better when you win, right? I would much prefer passion over apathy. I'd much prefer pressure over nothing, right? I could do something else. So I think our fans have been great. They support us, and sometimes you need to be booed. Now for Sam.
Sometimes you need to be booed. Was his answer on that one, dude? Shout out to R. Dan Jr. again for the 199. He says, "I'm not a bully, but Rules face my daily punching bag." Don't we all wish we could just give him a smack? I mean, listen, there's just a whole bunch of nothing, man. He makes all these different excuses. He talked about his mindset, which I have a clip of that too, about his mindset with the 2 quarterback system, and it's like, dude, what are we doing? None of it makes sense, and none of it is a good answer. I mean, it's just been abysmal all the way through.
I want to hear from the fans. Thank you, Ardan Jr. Look, as the biggest support you can give us, and thank you for the monetary support, man. You can find ways to donate to the show in the show notes and things like that. But what you can do is be a part of the conversation. Jump in the chat room, call in at 252-228-5098, smash the thumbs up button, and don't be apathetic. Tell us how you feel about Matt Rule, this game, the position of this team, where we need to be focusing this fan conversation. But we do appreciate that support, R. Dan Jr. Cody, I mean, I think when we look at these calls, actually, I just burped into the mic. That was gross. I'm struggling, man. I have been struggling as a Panther fan this year. And I've been doing this podcast for 9 years, man. And I want to like Matt Rule. I wanted to like him. I wanted to believe in this idea of building something for the long term. I wanted to believe in a coaching staff that had developed these processes, right? Or whatever it is that they had, that they're going to, but it's not, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, I mean,
you can keep telling me that this is the best thing I've ever heard and seen in my life, bro. But this is like the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. That's where I feel like we're at. Anyway, we'll go to the next call.
What's going on, fellas? Corey calling in. I haven't called in probably about a month or so, but I just needed to rant, man. I need to get my shit off. So I feel like this is a safe place. So
it is.
Y'all just bear with me. But it's today. I don't think anybody is surprised by the result today. I don't think anybody expected us to win, or I don't even think today looked any different than really what we thought it was going to look like, man. But it's just embarrassing, bro. Like we're really out here running two quarterbacks against the defending Super Bowl champions. We playing the defending champs, our division rivals, and we out here starting the game, intending to play running a two quarterback system, like we're fucking Eastern Illinois or some shit. Like this shit is like so it's just embarrassing. It's just
very
genuinely
college.
embarrassing to fill the team like this every single week coming out and just know that our offense at least is just gonna be fucking in the dirt. And it's all because of moves that this front office made that are not only questionable moves, not only terrible moves, but they're not even terrible in hindsight. We all knew when the
They
shit
were
was
terrible
going on
when it happened.
that the
Yeah.
shit didn't really make no sense. Literally starting off with signing Matt Rule for 7 years. Who the fuck signs a college head coach to a 7-year contract for a rebuild? Like I understand
what did Urban Meyer get?
He's supposed to be this program builder, this rebuilding coach. It doesn't take 7 years to build up a franchise. You know, at the end of year 2 or year 3, you know what you're working with, you know what direction you're going towards, and you know if you want to goddamn stay with this guy or not. And then if it's going the right direction, then you re-sign him, then you extend him. You don't sign a motherfucker coming fresh out of college for 7 fucking years to be a head coach in the NFL, and not even acting like he's fucking Nick Saban or anything like that. Like, bro, he turned around Temple and Baylor into programs with winning records. Like, okay, cool. Like you recruited fucking Texas high school players to come play in Baylor, Texas, and you won games. Congratulations. Here's full control of an NFL franchise. Like what is that? It just doesn't make sense. You let go of our biggest player our franchise has ever had. You sign a stopgap quarterback for 3 years, a 3-year contract, a guy who's never thrown for 20 touchdowns in his fucking career, who either ends the season with mediocre ass stats or ends the season injured. You sign him for 3 years. He's done after 1 year. You trade a 2nd-round pick for a fucking a project quarterback who's been literally the worst quarterback in the league the last 3 seasons. And then you extend him. You fucking sign him for his 5th-year option after he never plays for us. And it's like, okay, cool. Maybe it's for his confidence. It's for this. It's for that. It's like, no, fuck that. Prove it. You're on a new team now. You've been asked for the last 3 years. You have to prove that you can be a good quarterback in the NFL. We're not going to instill all this confidence in you, hand you the keys to our franchise.
Man, spitting fire, dude. Spitting fire here. And you are
Very
capturing so much of what Panther fans have been feeling. And even at the back end of that conversation right there, when we're talking about wait, here is it's part 2. Here's part 2 of the call. Anything you want to remark about or comment about before I play part 2, Cody?
I mean, no, you don't hire that many head coaches without NFL experience to come and revamp your NFL franchise. That's on Tepper, man.
All right, here's part 2.
This is part 2 of my call, man. I was getting off the rails there, but goddamn, like this is what this team does to me. You put Sam Darnold, you give him his 5th-year option before he ever plays a snap for us. After you watch 3 years worth of film on this guy, it's like, okay, cool.
It's bad business,
He's been with
man.
A terrible franchise.
It's bad
He's got
business.
no weapons, no O-line, terrible coach. He's got a lot of potential, yada, yada, yada. All right, we all see that, but let him show you that. Let him go out for the Panthers and prove himself for you, and then you extend him. You don't give this motherfucker $18 million next year for free. This is what we did. Now we've got a quarterback who we know is not the future, who we cannot trade because he's so ass, and then we're going to pay him starter money next year. For what? For what? We backed ourselves into a corner where we literally had no chance but to sign Cam. Okay, he comes in. It shit starts off cool. It's a great story. Cam Newton's literally my favorite player of all time, but y'all, he doesn't have it anymore. I'm sorry to say. I hate for this to be his last home game in Vegas, Mary, for him to go out like this.
He's right.
But he can't throw the ball anymore. He's had too many injuries. He's still a physical force. He can still run. He can do all that stuff. But he's just not that guy anymore. And it's sad to say, but that's the truth. But now we stuck ourselves in a situation where it's like, where do we go from here? What is our actual plan? Because we don't have any real draft capital. We got Sam Darnold on the books for next year. There's no franchise quarterbacks coming in the draft this year. And we've got these players that are supposedly good that we need to pay. And it's like, I feel like all this could have been avoided by just doing what the fuck you're supposed to do when you rebuild a franchise, bro. We're
Amen.
armchair GM. like looking at these moves in real time, knowing that that's not the shit that you do. You don't sign a head coach out of college for 7 years. You don't trade for a bust of a quarterback and then extend them.
You don't get the GM.
You don't sign a backup quarterback as a stopgap for 3 seasons. It's like, what do we do now? So I don't know, man. There's no real answer. You know, I'm not saying anything anybody hasn't said before, but I just had to get my shit off, man. But
no,
you know,
sure.
I'm still gonna watch the last 2 games for whatever reason. And
you can't handle the truth,
folks. You can't handle the truth. That is the truth, man. My caller right there. It's call a night so far for me. And it's because we didn't need the wins. We didn't need a lot of this. It is the process that we have been told by Matt Rule is working 1000%. Is the worst process. It is the wrong way of doing it. We were sold Bob the Builder, and we got the most rickety fucking house in football. I mean, we might as well be at least for the Jacksonville Jaguars, they can say that they had Urban Meyer who was destroying everything.
Does anybody feel like the Jacksonville Jaguars are in a worse spot than the Carolina Panthers right now?
How could they be?
No. They have far more money and a quarterback.
And they have all their draft picks, if not more draft capital, because we took CJ Henderson off of their hands. You have the Jets who have draft picks from us and draft picks from other players. The Jets have plenty of draft capital. They have a future. What do the Panthers have right now that give you hope for what they can be? Like, I don't see a single thing.
All right, let's keep pounding.
Hey, did you want to see the clip of Matt Rule saying
telling us the process is good? Yes, yeah. I want to see this more than anything. I can't wait to hear this.
Short and sweet and to the point.
But I believe it's 1,000% working. I just know no one can see it, and I apologize. I tell our team all the time, it took Jay-Z like 7 years. It took him 7 years. He had to start his own agency to become famous, to become an overnight sensation. Like, it takes time.
Which that's not true. Jay-Z was famous before he made his own company. He was already one of the most revered rappers in New York at that time anyway. So even his dumb analogy isn't even fucking true. No, so right. It's just embarrassing, man. And it's like what I said earlier. If this is what it looks like when it's working, what the hell does it look like when it isn't working?
Amen to that.
I mean, come on.
Thank God it's working. Thank God it's working.
This has been,
Merry Christmas, folks. The Lord has been born. Just not in Carolina. Next call.
Part 3 of Corey's call. This is it, I swear. But I just want to say, man, it just fucking sucks to see your team like going backwards, man. It's like not only do we, I don't really have a blueprint to fix what's going on here. It's like,
but this ain't
we are so far. We are so worse off than we were 2 years ago when we were like, all right. It's time to kind of scrap everything. All right, Luke's retiring. Greg Olson's getting old. Cam is injury. Like, it's like we're worse off now than we are then. And I'm 24, so I wasn't really watching football like that when we made a Super Bowl against the Panthers. I mean, against the Patriots.
What a great
I've seen ups and downs of this team. Like, I've seen this team be shitty. I've seen this team go to the Super Bowl. And it's like this feels worse than the fucking Jimmy Carlson era because, like, I feel like watching that team. Okay, everybody knew we were ass. Everybody knew we sucked, but it was almost like we were saying. It was almost like I really literally wasn't expecting anything. This team, we have talented players. We have guys that we feel like can play, and it's just like we fucked it. Like we just spilled everything, and now we're a team with no future. Like at quarterback, like we have no plan at quarterback. I have no idea what to do, and now we're going to this draft with like what a first? Do we have a 3rd round pick? I know we have a 1st round pick. I don't know. It's like
no, I don't think we have.
Man, when you've seen what this team can do, and you've seen players on this team perform at a good level. But I don't know. I just had to think, man, because I really can't. My friends don't give a shit enough about the Panthers for me to say all this shit to them. So I just gotta get this shit
Man, we appreciate it, man. That's what you're here for. That's what we're here for. Get on the couch. Let us know. Get it all off your chest. The number's 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Now, I think where I identify with this caller a lot with is I didn't have I have had very little expectations. Not little. That makes it sound like I thought they were going to be terrible or be poor. I have not had high expectations for this team. As in wins. I've said it week in and week out. I've said this like even today when I went to watch this game, I was like, oh my God, we're going to play the Bucs. Brady's been shut out he's never been shut. He's only been shut out 3 times in his career or whatever it was. I mean, like you're going to get Brady with a vengeance. And then when you even saw the injury report for the Bucs, and it was so long that anything that gave me hope, I was like, man, I had the worst expectations for this team, like the lowest. In fact, calling them expectations probably is over exaggerating where I felt, because expectations means it's higher than 0. I would guess they fell below my expectations still. What if you went to the worst, a place you thought was going to be the worst restaurant, and you imagined the worst possible experience you could imagine, and they still somehow found a way to fall below that? That is what happened to me today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I don't even know. I don't know. 252-228-5098. Get it off your chest.
What's up, y'all? G Cavassier.
What's up,
hey,
G?
The bleeding stopped. Thank God that game was over. That game was horrible as hell. How the fuck you lose by 26 damn points? 26 damn points? Come on now, y'all. Yeah, Rule got to go, man. I know that y'all are saying, and some people are saying he's going to be back next year and everything, and blah, blah, this and blah, blah, that. Tepper needs to pull the trigger on this dude. This dude needs to leave. And somebody else I'm a get on is Derek Brown. I told y'all years ago I really didn't trust this dude. To me, Derek Brown's just taking up space. He's not really doing anything, man. I think he's kind of like overrated. As I
We
said
need to talk
before,
about this.
Years ago, I wanted Isaiah Simmons. I did. But, oh, well, things happen for a reason. But, yeah, Derek Brown, I'm not a fan of, man. Not a fan at all. Give me your thoughts on that. Keep talking.
So, listen, I've been going back and forth. There's shout out to the chat room. There's all these mini micro discussions between different people that are kind of going on. And there's one in the chat room right now between me, Panthers Rule, and 704 Big Slim. And I'm like, look, Derek Brown has absolutely not lived up to the hype. If you're talking about being picked 7th overall, I'm sorry, but I have not seen a 7th overall defensive lineman on our defensive line. And I said this before the draft, that when you're a big run-stuffing defensive tackle playing 1 tech, 0 tech, we play them around at 5 sometimes, but when your main focus as a player is to stop the run and eat up space and try and eat up double teams, I'm sorry, but I don't put a premium on that. Not when you're picking in the top 10, because those guys are a dime a dozen. Big, strong defensive tackles exist in just about all rounds of the draft. I mean, maybe not all rounds, but you do not pick a player, a run stuffing defensive tackle in the top 10 of the draft. And, I don't even want to say that Derek Brown is a bad football player. I think when he has some other talented guys around him, he will serve his purpose. He will be that big monster in the middle that's going to stop us from being gashed all the time. But we need to improve our linebacking core and improve the help around him. Even if we do that, though, Derek Brown is not worth a top 10 pick. He just isn't. He doesn't have the skill set to be able to do it. And if you want another example on how players like Derek Brown come around just about every year, Jordan Davis, who is from Charlotte, plays at the University of Georgia, is a monster right now. And he would probably be available for us to pick at the 7th spot too. And he might have better college film than Derek Brown did. It goes back to this drafting inadequacy that we've had for a long time on the Carolina Panthers, we've been messing up a lot of the more important picks that the Carolina Panthers have.
Disagree. And I disagree not entirely, but partially. Is that I don't think that the rule of drafting, like you shouldn't draft a run stuffing tackle in the top 10 should be so firm as you make it. I do think that when and what is going on your team may decide that.
So what would you do if there was a tight end?
Oh God, do not ever draft.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
I was just about to bring that up.
Don't draft him high.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is this: is that like first is Derek Brown has been he's been available. Number one,
right?
He has played every game. He started from the beginning, so I like that about him. Number two is that if we were one piece away from being a really good team, and that runs like I think it's okay for a team to draft kind of for need and a great player at the same time. Like if you're kind of a piece away, and our team, by the way, you were very critical about how our linebackers struggled in the past because the D tackles were allowing it. So it was sort of a need. Where I do agree though, is that the Panthers have continued to pick around the real problem.
Yeah.
They have danced around the real issue. It's almost like apologizing to your wife for something you did wrong, but it wasn't what you really did wrong.
Right.
You know, it's like, right. And here's the thing is we have no offensive line at all. Like where in the world does it matter? Does it matter? We can't even stop the run. How about that? We couldn't even stop the run up the middle with a top 10 pick up in there. We should have had Tristan Riffs. We should have picked Mekhi Becton. We should have picked Rashawn Slater. That's it. I don't care who the fuck is out there other than that person.
Yeah, and I also, one of the things that I stood firm on about Derek Brown is that the very notion of us taking a defensive tackle that early, I felt gave fans rather, an ill-informed opinion of who Derek Brown was. They thought that we might have been drafting, another Aaron Donald or another Fletcher Cox, and it's just it put it put a bunch of expectations on him that Derek Brown was never gonna be able to live up to.
It's fine. Actually, it's fine because it's not the sexiest. No, it's not the most sexy position, right? And in theory, is that like we want to go draft the shiny toy, right? You want to go do this. If somebody was, I heard somebody say they were talking about their favorite Christmas present they ever got. It was a football player, and they were like, I got a remote control helicopter, and I broke it in the first 3 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was the shiniest toy, but it was broken before the day was over.
Right.
I don't even think a defensive tackle is in that realm, right? He's not a wide receiver. He's not a quarterback. He's not a shiny toy. They gave us a less shiny toy. They should have just picked the fucking guard. Basically, that's what you're doing. You're picking a guard in the top 10. And that's a hard thing to sell. It's like hard to get excited about. It's hard because you would be up here, Cody, saying a guard is not worth a top 10. You should have gotten a tackle. It is a unsexy pick that turned out to be even less sexy because we didn't address the goddamn need that we needed more than anything. And that's the offensive line.
But it's not even about sexy pick. It's about value. When you're especially in the top 10, you're drafting for value. You should be able to pick players in those top 10 selections that you are unable to pick even in the latter half of the first round because they shouldn't be available based on their talent alone. I'm saying that Derek Brown, Isaiah Simmons has a higher ceiling than Derek Brown. Fuck anyone who thinks different. I don't give a shit. He does. He is a far better athlete and better at the position than Derek Brown.
I disagree with this comparison because you're looking at the wrong player comp. We should have
It's
picked
not.
offensive linemen. We should
Sure,
have picked
but
offensive linemen.
even
No,
then,
period.
even then, you can draft defensive tackle in the top 10, fine, but you have to add more to what you do than just being a run stuffer. I mean, there's some guys in this draft that I would be comfortable doing that with, but
not me.
Derek
Unless
Brown
this
was not one of them.
motherfucker has offensive lineman in his name, I don't want to talk about him. I don't want to talk about anybody. I'm with CK. CK said this a few weeks ago. He said, I don't want to talk about nothing until this fucking line is fixed. I don't care.
I'm
I
tired
don't
of having.
care.
Yeah, I'm tired of having the conversation of
This
is
is a good
Joe
take.
Brady a good offensive lineman, or did he just have a bad offensive lineman, or did he have a bad? I'm tired of having to have a conversation about other people's position with an asterisk beside it. Like Cam Newton's not good at football behind a bad offensive line. Sam Darnold's a horrible quarterback with a bad offensive line. Like I'm tired of that having to always be an asterisk. I just want to know, is Sam Darnold good, or are we just not a good team, period? Is it Sam Darnold that's the problem, or is it this offensive line? Right? I'm tired of having to question all those things. And until that's fixed, there should be zero other things at the top of the list other than offensive line. That is clear and evident, especially when you talk about, they say Tom Brady is the fastest quarterback to get the ball out, 2.5 seconds. I was literally, after they said that, I was counting how long it was taking the defensive lineman on our offense against our offensive line to get to the quarterback, and it was 2.5 seconds. And I'm sitting there thinking, so even the fastest quarterback in Tom Brady couldn't possibly get the ball out quick enough to be able to, handle what this offensive line is doing. I'm tired of the conversation. Until that's done, no other position should be a part of this conversation.
Yeah, like why have Barry Sanders right now? Why have Barry Sanders when it doesn't matter? Barry Sanders was the greatest running back in the history of football, but guess what? He played on the worst fucking team.
Right.
Like, I mean, why does it matter? Even if we get the best player in the world, if it doesn't make our team, it's tough.
Hey guys, Nick Lyon here out in Seattle. Love to hear your podcast.
Thank you, bro.
For years.
Thank you, man.
This is difficult to process, just watching what happens each week with our team. Because as I've heard you guys mention on the show, and I've been saying all year, what direction do we go from here? What's our identity? I mean, you can look a mule in the face and tell him why Sam got more plays than Cam today. And it has nothing to do with Sam Darnold being a better player. We all know why. It's the same reason why people hate Cam Newton, but we don't need to get into that right now. What I want to talk about is how Brady Christensen just put out the best game at left tackle we've seen all year. Meanwhile, our head coach is so clueless, he thinks this man is a guard. I just don't understand what the plan is going forward and what we think we're going to do. People are so divided on whose fault it is and Rule should get another year. And I'm just over it. Like, the Panthers games used to be something I'd look forward to each week and go to sleep on Saturday, stoked on Sunday to watch the games. And it's just hard to keep defending them because we have an owner who clearly has no sense of duty to his team,
domestic violence, dude.
who's just going to go out and make business decisions where he's hiring his drinking buddy to be the head coach. Has nothing to do with the X's and O's. I refuse to be told differently. And I just don't understand what's going to happen going forward. Because let's say they even fire Matt Rule. Then what? Now, granted, I personally think that either of the Bucs coordinators would make a fabulous head coach in Carolina. But we know that's not going to happen. Because what have we seen that says that David Tepper wants to build a winning organization other than the bullshit that's come out of his mouth? Tony, I agree with you. He's Jimmy Haslam, too. He's, coming out of the Cleveland organization. The Pittsburgh organization, turning us into the Carolina Browns. And that's what we've been doing on the field each week. We've been taking a big old shit on all of the fans. And for me personally, the best part of the game was being able to hear the stadium chant, "Fire Matt Rule." David Tepper's a prideful man, and he was sitting in that owner's box. After you watch this man you brought in midseason, Cam, sitting on the sidelines in the second half, not doing anything, while the crowd is chanting "Fire Matt Rule," something's got to give.
Something's got to give.
Lose or tie. I'm a Panther till I die. Keep pounding, boys.
Keep pounding. Can we have this Brady Christensen conversation now? I think it's time for it. CK disagreed with me. I'm sure we'll have this out. But to me, Brady Christensen played fantastic today. Now, that does not mean he played fantastic on every single rep. But for my money, when watching Brady Christensen play, there was far more good than there was bad. And keep in mind, he was going up against Shaquille Barrett. So we'll look at one play right here against Shaquille, just a 4-second clip right here. Shaquille is fast off the line. Brady Christensen wins the hand placement, gets his hands inside. Shaq knocks him away, but Brady Christensen is able to recover in time, drop his ass, set his anchor, and keep Cam Newton clean. And I felt like there was a lot of instances in which Brady Christensen did just that today. We have one more here, and this was another rep against Shaquille Barrett. And again, you look at the athleticism and the ability to move that Brady Christensen displays, and it's excellent, man. Never beats him to the outside foot. Perfect hand placement. Led him around Cam Newton. I mean, look, that's
a hold.
No, it's not grabbing onto him. He's pushing him around the corner.
He's holding his arm. Look at him. He's grabbing his arm.
No, that's not holding his arm. One, there's always some element of holding.
Sure.
But when it comes to offensive,
look at him hook his arm right there, though.
This is a good.
He has his left hand on Shaquille Barrett's left shoulder, then uses it to push him away and lead him around the edge.
Yeah, that's leading him around the edge. But the problem is Cam Newton does get the ball out quick here, right? This is a pretty quick. Well, let me rephrase.
Well, he gets sacked right there.
But I mean, outside of that, I do disagree. I think it wasn't like he was he's definitely better than what we saw with Cam Irving, and I'm gonna put that out there. I will be the first to admit that. What I don't think that I'm seeing is him being. I don't think that he has showed there was a couple of times, and this is his second start as a left tackle, so it's only going to get better. So I'm hopeful that he is able to do something, right? But I mean, from what I saw, even with a couple of screenplays, right? I was watching him, and he was letting cornerbacks touch him once and then just jump around him. And what you saw is the complete opposite from Tampa Bay. When they throw a screen, these guys were making sure our entire secondary wasn't able to get past them. It was a clear difference in quality of talent. And that's something that I think that maybe he can get better at. I did not see a world beater today. I didn't see was he probably the best left tackle that we've had all season? Absolutely. And I can give you that.
That should be a world beater right there, Cody. CK, excuse me. Is that if he was the best we've seen all year and he's not a world beater, what the fuck?
Right.
I would say I did not see Brady Christensen get straight beat today.
Right.
There was one. A drum. There was a couple of times where people said he was a little too far outside. There was another time that and I was just watching the broadcast. There was a lot going on. I was at Tiebreakers, and there's a lot of TVs. There's a lot of people talking. It's hard to concentrate on one singular position entirely. But even the play where Sanchez was Shaq Barrett made this happen, Brady Christensen shoved his ass into the center, and then he pinball off of somebody. I don't know if Brady Christensen's going to be a left tackle. I don't know if he's going to be a left guard. I don't even know if he's going to be on the fucking Carolina Panthers in 3 years. But I would tell you this, is that he wasn't the worst player on the field today.
And I would argue that he did damn good against some of the best edge pressure that we've faced all year.
It was fine.
It's my thing is this. Imagine how much
process
better,
is working 1,000% clearly.
Imagine how much better Brady Christensen could have looked if he would have been playing left tackle all year for us. Then we would be having no question in our mind. We would have a full idea of whether or not Brady Christensen can play left tackle for us. Even
You're
if he
wrong.
was good, even
You're
if he was
wrong.
good but not great, you would be able to have some idea of whether or not you see something that you like in him, whether or not you believe that he can become better and continue to grow at that position. The limited amount of reps that we have seen from him play at left tackle against the Washington football team and today against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, dude, short arms be damned. I think Brady Christensen is a future left tackle.
You are wrong, sir. The only reason he was as good as he was today is because the process is working 1000%. I promise you, Brady Christensen would have been a bum. He would have been a worse iteration of himself if the Matt Rule process would have not been working.
Matt Rule is the biggest fucking moron in the history of morons. When you look up the word moron on Google, you ought to see a picture of Matt fucking Rule.
I could not have timed this
But he's
call
not the
better. I
only
did not
dumbass.
know it was going to start like
The
this.
dickhead owner hired the dickhead head coach who hired his dickhead coaches. Cam Newton should have retired 2 fucking years ago. And Sam Darnold should have never been drafted 2 fucking years ago. And the next person who says this is a great defense, stick your head in the fucking toilet and flush that motherfucker. Because that's where your opinion should be. This is, you know what? At the end of this season, I would fire every coach in that building. Every head coach, every coach in that building, including the fucking training staff. You can't stay no healthier than this. Fuck your bitch ass too. And the scouting department, fuck your ass. You're out of there too. And you know what? While we at it, let's go ahead and fire the fucking janitor. You know, this is a stupid, shitty organization.
Take it out on
it
him.
Just is. You know, and any jackass who agrees to trade your 2nd round pick for a dickhead quarterback who should have never been in the NFL anyway, and then trade your 3rd round pick for a corner who looks like he's playing out there with a dildo in his ass. Shouldn't be playing. I knew this team would suck for the last 2 fucking months. And I've opened my mouth and I've said my piece. And this Friday, I'm going to say it again. This team sucks. It always will suck. And it forever will suck until dickhead Matt Rule is out of this fucking office.
How can you argue with him?
You can't, man. There's nothing to argue with right
That
there.
call was
Everything
so on
perfect.
time, bro.
It was perfect. It was
so on
absolutely.
time.
And by the way, I don't want to just gloss over it. Miles Hartfield is bad. Like, I feel like every single time that we're seeing him
today. What do you
no,
mean? How you
dude,
say he's
he was
bad?
getting
How you gonna
roasted.
pick the guy? How you gonna pick on the? This is fucked up. All right, this is
He
where
gets
things
roasted
get
literally
fucked up.
every time we see him, dude.
I mean, to
He
be
is
fair,
He's
Stephon
probably a
Gilmore
walk-on, dude.
Stephon
ultimately.
Gilmore did worse than Hartsfield did today.
Yeah,
I mean, fine. I'm
this
just
is
no. I know,
bullshit
but-
to pick the lowest hanging fruit, the weakest link on this thing, and like the guy that's fighting to make the bubble. This is why I defend people like Demir Bird so much and this and that. These guys are producing more than the big fucking names. And then the low hanging fruit is for Cody Lashley to come on here and say Miles Hartfield sucks.
He's playing football. Hey, how about this?
He's
If the
playing
Carolina
football.
Panthers,
What
hey Tony, how
about-
about this?
what about Ian
If the
Thomas?
Carolina
What
Panthers,
about fucking
no, dude,
all
no,
these
no, no,
other
no. Listen to me.
fucking
If the
bums,
Carolina Panthers hired my cripple ass, yeah, it would be a fantastic feel-good story. I still don't deserve to be on the fucking football field. Come on, man. Every time I see that guy, he's getting absolutely destroyed, man. And yeah, call it unfair, say what you want. But one of the things you got to realize too is that
victim
Stephon
shaming.
Gilmore,
You're victim shaming.
Stephon Gilmore was on Antonio Brown. So yeah, of course.
What the
Gilmore
fuck
didn't
does
have a
that
good
mean?
day.
The defensive
DK
player do
said
not
Stephon
give your
Gilmore
boy a
had
pass.
a better day than Hartsfield.
My
Not a worse
God,
day,
you
yeah.
just gave Stephon Gilmore the biggest pass in the history of the world.
It was
Well,
on
first of
Antonio
all,
Brown.
We should
Antonio
know
Brown,
Antonio Brown.
who is a fucking head case, number one. Number two, has missed 3 weeks, been kicked out with his fake ass shit. Number 4, like, was barely in the league. No, you're acting like he's the greatest receiver in the history of the world. Gilmore must be a goddamn bum.
Better than whoever was on Hartsfield. That's for damn sure. And it didn't matter because every time we see Hartsfield out there, he's getting blown up or he's missing a tackle. Yeah, Panther Pickle was right, man. Yeah, Hartsfield ain't it. It's not good, man. Not good.
Dude,
sorry.
Man, you should be roasting Gilmore, homie.
Why?
Oh, because he couldn't shut down Antonio Brown. How about that? He ain't a number 1. You know what? Because, I mean, he probably couldn't even shut down DJ Moore at this point.
Well, that would put him and Hartsfield in the same boat. How about that? Dude,
Gilmore and Hartsfield, best players.
That's another player that Matt Rule didn't even play enough this year. Wasn't even putting him on the number 1.
Oh, my God. What a pass for Gilmore. What a pass.
You're just like this average, everyday, normal guy.
So a couple things that I saw. Okay, I saw a lot of things today. But anyway, so the obvious.
Didn't we all?
We don't have no protection as usual. Just none. Okay. So we go out there, we throw Sam out there today or whatever. And Sam made a few good throws. I'll give him that. But overall, I thought that him and Cam were equally not as good. Not making throws. And so I don't know if it's the protections or if it's just the offense in general. I ain't quite thinking that. I actually think it's more of the offense itself because, like we didn't even have a run game. And if you notice that the DBs from Tampa, they were running the routes better than our wide receivers and running backs were running it. So, that leads me to believe that our offense is very predictable, which probably has a lot to do with the increase in turnovers that we're seeing, because if they know where our receivers are going because we run the same plays over and over again, then of course they're going to be there before our people are because they know what we're going to do. But anyway, and then the 4th and 2 right before the half, I don't know why Matt Rule doesn't go for that. Like, you got Cam Newton back there. All you got to do is basically fall forward and you're going to get those 2 yards. So why did he go for it at the 4th and 2 right before the half? And then with right before the half with a 2-minute mark, and then you give the ball back to Tom Brady, who's gonna score. So like your job is to keep the ball away from him. To me, that's just like you have no idea what you're doing. If you play against Tom Brady and you don't know that no matter what, and you're right here before the half, I don't care if it's 4th and 25, you're gonna go for it because your job is you're gonna minimize the amount of time that he can have right before the half to get out and score because he's best in the 2-minute offense. Everybody knows that. I don't know why Matt Rule didn't know that, but anyway. And then where has Josh Smith been all season? I mean, I have no idea. Like, I saw him today, and he seemed to be the only receiver that could somehow get a break away from somebody for that big pass that Sam threw to him. I don't know where he's been all season. And then my other thing is, why do our receivers and running backs follow so much? Like, I haven't figured this out yet.
I was wondering that too.
The pass that Cam was trying to throw to Abdullah, he's falling. Robbie falling. DJ, like, why do they fall so much? I ain't figured that out. He needs some balance courses or something because they've been falling all season. Like, it's just been a mess. I don't know why they can't stand on 2 feet. What is going on? But anyway, I digress. I guess that's just been the theme of the whole Panther season. We just falling. I mean,
we just fold.
It looks like a few of our players had bet against us winning this week, so they were like, let's just go ahead and assume. Let's go ahead and pick against, like, say that Tampa Bay is going to cover the spread, and we'll just trip and not get any touchdowns.
In better news, the Pittsburgh Steelers are getting shut out 23-0 right now. And Deontay Johnson just made a Carolina Panthers type play. This mug caught a ball out in the flat, started running, and just dropped it. I mean, like, he was running, doing all the things you're not supposed to, holding the ball in one hand, this and that, and it just fell out of his hands. Like, he literally fumbled the ball for no reason at all and gave the ball back. That is like, he should be, you know what? I say the Carolina Panthers sign him to a 3-year deal next year.
Oh yeah, probably. Like, let's go ahead and set a new record for his contract.
Come on. Yeah, exactly. One of the things going back to that call, though, interesting is 3rd and 1, we have Sam Darnold in there. Like, what did you guys think about the rotation of the quarterbacks? All right, so let's not even argue over whether rotating quarterbacks is a good idea, right? Like, I mean, I don't even care at this
It's
point.
not. It's not
But-
unless you have
but-
your game plan that's created that way at the beginning of the season.
But did it even look like, for Mr. 1000% process, it seemed like Cam Newton was in there in passing downs and Sam Darnold was in there on running downs?
Yeah, I mean, you heard Sanchez talking about it. I mean, the part about that is, I mean, I guess there is a level of unpredictability to that. But I mean, my personal opinion is you shouldn't be running that. I get the reason, but at the same time, I'm also of the mind like. And I talked about it, I think last week or on the Friday free for all. The reason the Saints were so good is because they had a quarterback like Drew Brees who could run the offense. We don't have that luxury, right? We're not in the same boat as the Saints were. And so, in the other part is that's an offense that they had put into place. They had installed that offense prior to the season starting, and they have Taysom Hill. There's the just the relief pitcher. Like, I mean, it doesn't ever feel like it's a good idea to do that. I haven't felt like it's been a good idea, and it's clearly not worked out.
Go ahead, Greg.
Well, I was just going to say, I don't like the idea of it, but I think it's something that actually can work if you plan for it, like CK was saying. The problem was we didn't look like we were having any kind of plan for it. We just looked like we were taking out, once a player had a bad play, we took him out and put the other guy in. Because the thing is,
or when
Sam,
they
Sam
had a
Darnold,
good play, you did it. Like, it did.
Right.
It didn't feel like there was a plan. It just felt like it was just reactive. I don't know. It was felt ridiculous. That's what it felt like.
Well, the thing is, Sam Darnold can run the ball. Remember, at the beginning of the season, we were praising him for how he can run the ball. So it's not like either one of these players had a lot more. Well, I think Cam's a better runner, Darnold's a better thrower.
Sure,
but both of them can do either one. You just should have had a plan going into it. And it looks like his plan was, I'm going to put Cam Newton out there till he fails. Then when he fails, I'm going to put Darnold in and I hope that he does really well so I can tell everybody I told you so. That's what it looked like.
By the way, I saved this comment for later just because I thought it was spot on and hilarious. Karen Choi says this season they added an extra game just for us to hold an extra L. And I found the how poetic that was and the simplicity of it. Add an extra game to give us an extra bout of despair.
If there was a season you didn't want an extra game, this is
this one, dude.
252-228-5098.
What's up, Tampa fans? Hey, Matt Rule just watched his post-game press conference. He said, give him time. He said it took Jay-Z 7 years to get his feet on the ground and get going good. That's what our coach said. He compared himself to Jay-Z. And Jay-Z needed 7 years, so that's what it's going to take for him, basically, in a nutshell. Fellas, I just suggest you find another hobby. Do something else more productive with your time instead of watching this shit show. Take care, guys.
That's fucking
fantastic advice.
Right. Fantastic advice, but I'm a glutton for punishment, so I guess I'm gonna been doing this podcast for 9 years, homie. 9 years. And I'm trying to think, where was a lower spot for me?
I mean, for you,
have we been in a lower spot? I mean, in that 9 years, what would that moment be?
So listen, hey, I've always been real about when my Panther fandom started. I don't have a great recollection of the torment and torture that happened to the Panther fan base the year before Cam Newton was drafted. I imagine that season probably would have to be very high up on the list. I know that since my time as a Panther fan, since 2011, these past few years, man, I feel like the next year can't possibly be worse than this one. And then it always gets worse, dude. It always finds a way to get worse. It's to the point it's like,
that's a good way of putting it.
What do you have to believe in, man? if we're going to set our expectations to something next year, well,
Right.
if time is a flat circle, we get our expectations set really high just for this Panthers team to pull the right Jenga piece, and everything just comes
I never had my
crashing
expectations
down to
high.
earth.
See, this is the problem with this is I never had my expectations high. In fact,
Right.
I thought that we were going to be an 8-win team. And I know that like they fell below that. Like I didn't think we were going to have a boom. I thought it was again middle of the road. But I have been a Panthers fan since I got into football when I went to ultimately graduated high school. Julius Peppers, who played football around my area, drafted to the Carolina Panthers. It just felt like a marriage made in heaven. I was a Julius Peppers fan, so I said, all right, I mean, I'm trying to get in professional football, and he goes to the team that just kind of has recently come to Carolina. Like, all right, so I'm a Carolina Panthers fan, but I started this podcast in the 2013 season, and I'm just talking about since those 9 years, every week we have been up here on Tuesday nights. I'm like just pounding the streets, nothing special, just consistency, this and that. And I'm trying to think of a point where I felt this low.
That conversation is happening in our chat room. Some people saying even in 2010, they felt like they had a chance. One of these guys that I just put up on the screen right here was saying, I don't remember the times of Kerry Collins benching himself and quitting on the football team. That's certainly true too. But
I
shout out.
What was it?
I was just gonna say real quick, and then we'll continue. Shout out Grim Reaper for the $10, who says the game I expected today. Keep pounding. C3. Thank you, Grim.
I think CK though the lowest I felt was that year we went to the opener. I mean, and not at the opener, but when Cam went down hurt, and you just felt like, oh man, the season's over. And then they ended up winning 5 games or whatever, and it wasn't even. I would argue that this season is worse than that one.
I don't disagree.
Like, tell me why this season is better. At least that one we had reasons.
I mean, that's the part about it is like, even from the perspective of the 2010 season, like with that, we were that bad that we knew we were going to be picking first. We had a group of quarterbacks, or at least one quarterback coming out that we knew could be a possible franchise quarterback. We don't feel that necessarily with any of the quarterbacks this year, right? I think there's definitely a difference. And I think the problem right now is, like I'd mentioned before, we have far too many people at the end of their contracts, far too many people still on their contract next year that we don't need, that would be a big loss for us. I don't know. I really don't know the answer.
It's like the callers have said, is that the lack of identity is the problem, or a large part of the problem. At least at those moments, we could say our quarterback got hurt. We're going to get a new coach. We're going to get I actually thought in, what was it, 2018 or 20, whatever that year was, and we just said, man, our defense is like, I love Pep being back just for nostalgia, but our defense is old. Like, we had something to say. We could say our defense is old. I can't point to this team and say what the problem is, because everything is a problem.
Right.
Like everything. Like, what's not a problem? That's what I want to know. What is not a fucking problem?
And Tony, I think the best take that you have had this season is like, who have we beaten? Who have we beaten? Like, all of our best wins, like, if you start to look at it, you can easily dissect it. The number of players that they were missing, or just all the different caveats. It's like, these wins they're not even very good. Yeah, they're not even very good in retrospect.
Right.
So, I mean, looking back on them, man, it's like, dude, I don't know. I mean, 2000.
We're a mess, bro. It's
ever
a mess.
Since 2017, it's just been downhill, man. So what? This is now 5 seasons in a row that the Panthers will finish with the losing number.
Yeah.
I mean, how about
we
dude,
were
we're
we were
picking-
mad about not having back-to-back winning seasons. Let's not have back-to-back losing seasons. Bitches.
or back-to-back to back.
Yeah, a winning season would be great.
All right, let's go to the next call.
We need to just fire everybody, man. I don't know how temperatures sit back and continue to watch this dumpster fire fucking circus, man. Yeah, you know, everybody was talking about Cam Newton this, Cam Newton that. Well, look, had them Phil Darnold got sacked 7 times today. You know, at least Cam Newton got them score some touchdowns. You know,
right?
Even if you even watch the Matt Rule press conference, man, you know, it's just a fucking joke, man. Like Skip Bayless said, clown show, man. But hopefully we fire Matt Rule, man, and get some real NFL coaches, man. But everybody keep pounding. Make sure you dab on that like button. Make sure you subscribe, man. Everybody have a happy holiday and a happy new year. This Sea-Dog. Great show, guys.
Thank you, Sea-Dog.
Appreciate you, brother.
The only thing the Panthers have done well or done right is ruin Cam Newton's career twice. Next
Hey,
call.
how about I was gonna
How
say
is your number 2 defense?
What?
No, I was going to say, how about this comment? Dan Floyd says, this is my first season following NFL, and I chose to be a Panthers fan. I'm going to keep pounding and stick with them, but man, it's been disappointing.
Why? We want to know
starting
why
at
you
the low
picked.
point. Yeah,
Right, I want to know this, Dan. Like, what made you pick? Did you throw it on a dartboard? Like, what was not like what? I mean, for real.
Yeah.
Like, what would be the reason that out of all the things you picked this year, I mean, if we got in a pick, so and I always say this when we get to the ice up picks is that I've iced up a kid, an 8-year-old in Oklahoma or whatever. And the reason I say that is because this kid, Oklahoma, they don't have a professional football team. And so this kid wrote a letter to like, or put it on Instagram. I can't remember. It's been so long now. And it was like, he was basically courting a team he wanted. He's like, I want to get into professional football and I'm looking for a team to cheer for. And this was back when Jerry Richardson was the owner, and Jerry Richardson would do cool shit like this back in the day. He would write and he wrote this kid a hand note and sent him like a helmet, a Panthers helmet that was like autographed. So he sent him it was a note from the owner of the team with this like great gear, and he's like, we'd love to have you as a fan. And this motherfucker picked another team over us. Like he was like, nah, I'm gonna be a Texans fan, fuck you. Like, and I was like so pissed that this little 8-year-old was fucking, I was so mad.
Out of the mouths of babes, they'll say some true shit. They'll say some true shit every once in a while.
But I'm interested in this is what made this guy be a Panthers fan.
Yeah, I'm interested too, Dave. If you're still with us, let us know. Hey, real quick, shout out to one of our angels who helps float this show, man. Roosevelt Mongo. We definitely appreciate you, brother, for the $10. He said the Carolina Panthers are like pouring sour milk in my cereal. David Tepper, sell the team and go back to CNBC and Wall Street, where you belong. Man, not a lot of love for David Tepper. And someone in the chat room earlier said that like it's pointless even criticizing David Tepper because he's not going anywhere. And it's like,
I know.
Yeah, that is true. Look how long the Washington football team has been trying to
they
get rid
fucking,
of Dan
oh my
Snyder.
God, it's ridiculous. Like
Yeah,
they hate their owner more than they hate the Cowboys.
Your owner, you're just stuck with them. You're stuck with him. So this is the owner. This is the guy who's going to make all the big time decisions on the Carolina Panthers. Still, I remember hearing the rumor that once upon a time, Matt Rule, shortly after buying the Panthers, even considered a color change, changing our colors. I don't know what the hell it would have been. But I mean, we've also
that's the only. You know what I was gonna say is that I was gonna say to the guy who picked our team to cheer for. I thought the only reason he would say would be the colors.
Yeah, it's the only good thing left about our team is the uniforms and the colors, to be truly honest.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty dope. The colors are
Yeah.
straight. So imagine changing that.
And Tony, I don't give a damn
252.
what you say. Those black jerseys, I don't care that you think they're cursed.
They're
or
so
jinxed.
bad luck,
They're
bro. They're
so
cursed as a
fucking
motherfucker.
cool.
Black helmets, flat
Right?
black helmets.
That's
I'm
fine.
telling you,
That's
it was
fine.
badass.
Maybe it's unlucky because we wear a stupid ass silver helmet.
They're not
Yeah,
unlucky. We're
maybe.
just a bad football team.
No,
dude.
we
That's
are
all there
unlucky.
is.
Fucking, if we
No.
are, look, at what point does it become data? You
No,
say
it's
it's
not data, but we've
superstition. At
wanted
what
them
point
before.
does it become data, sir?
When you're a bad football team, we didn't really start changing up the Panthers colors until David Tepper was our owner, because Richardson
No, that's
never
not
liked
true.
to do that shit.
We've worn black on black on black, bro. We've never won. We're like two.
When
and,
Jerry Richardson
13.
was here, it was rare for us to wear the black bottoms.
Very
now we
rare.
do it almost every other game.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
guess
So I'm
what? We
just
still
saying.
lost with them every other game. They need to stop doing it. They
No,
need to stop
they need to do
doing it.
more. We just need to be a better football
Let me get
team,
another
Tony.
This is Shalika, by the way, because I forgot talk about that defense. Oh my God, I don't even know how many more, Lord have mercy. We can't stop the run. See, here's the thing. So I actually felt like last week we did a better job of stopping the run than this week. And the only factor that was different was Derek Brown. But I know everybody think he's it. I don't know. I think the other two people that was in there last week did a little better stopping the run. Just my personal opinion. We can't set the edge. I don't know what's going on with that. We ain't been able to set the edge since the beginning of the season. They get on the outside and they eat us alive. We can't get outside. We can't stop. We can't set the edge. We can't get outside.
We can't do
stop
nothing.
Run on the outside. They get to the outside, it's over. Okay. And then we play these loose zones. What's the purpose of us playing in the zone if we're gonna be loose and just let them do whatever they want in the zone?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I don't understand. I don't understand. I'm confused. I don't know. Number 2 defense, I just highly doubt it because we can't catch it. We can't stop a nosebleed.
That's the truth, man. The defense can't stop
It is a
shit,
debacle
man.
going on in Carolina, and I just don't even know where they begin to fix it. But it's a mess. Okay, I really think I'm through this time. It's a mess.
Shalika, that's
the
awesome.
kicker was good today. He's the new kicker. He did all right today. On his little 3 chances, he kicked all right. That is a shining point.
I mean, look, we haven't stopped anybody on defense, and we can make excuse after excuse, right? People tell me I make excuses for Cam Newton all day. And you know what? I say this is Cam Newton is done. I think he's done.
People say I make more excuses for Cam than you
Oh,
do
you
nowadays,
do.
bro.
You make way more excuses for Cam because you just are trying to wish your people into success. I defended Cam for so long, and you know what? I still defend him. I ain't trying to hate on Cam. I got no reason to hate on Cam. I mean, bad situation, this or that. I just don't believe. First, I didn't think it was the right thing for us to do. I thought it was the wrong. I mean, like we used Cam to disguise the problems on this team. They tried to speak. They whispered these, like they knew who our weaknesses were as fans and this and that. And so I didn't even want to see Cam again. All I have said since Cam left here is I want to see him go out on a high note.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want his career besmirched by injury and problems at coach, this and that. I just want one good game, one good season, a run to just where people remembered Cam for what he truly was.
Right.
And they did us wrong. They used Cam as a doormat. And that's it's not fine. Actually, it's terrible. They use Cam as a doormat. But I'm at the end of the day, it's like moving forward with Cam or Darnold. It's like it's the least tenable. It's tough watching, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough watching.
I mean, we have no options, and that's what's even harder. That's what's even harder for fans of this football team because literally, it's looking like those are your 2 options. Either that or you're trading for.
There are no options. Number 1, there are 0 options. Number 1, and the only option is the stupid ass Actually, a white boy who continues to show us that he has the physical traits, just the inability to be any good.
Who?
Sam Darnold.
He's shown
There
us
is
he has
no
the
other.
physical
You can't pay Cam unless you're going to pay Cam a pauper's wage. Fuck that. I don't want to make. I feel like we're trying to humiliate Cam. That's what I feel like at this point. It's like us being. I don't want to be a part of that. I just don't want to be a part of it.
I mean, I hear you, man. I mean, I don't. This is why we didn't want to see Cam Newton come back to the football team. I mean, I was excited when it happened, but then just to look at everyone blame him, man. Like I knew this shit was going to happen. Cam Newton can't read defenses. Oh, Cam Newton's arm is shot. Oh, Cam Newton can't throw it touch. Cam Newton can't do this. Like you were never going to. This was never a situation for him to even display that he could do all those things. People want to say that
I didn't want to be a part of it.
I
did not want to be a part of it from the beginning.
I will say one thing he displayed today, though, that we argued about last week. I may have said this when I stepped away for a moment. Is he did get the ball down the field. Like last week, we were talking about he looked like he was having a hard time throwing it 10 yards down the field. He had some zip behind some balls today, and he was putting the ball deep a few times. So
he did that one really deep pass that I saw that he overthrew Robbie Anderson. Everything else was kind of like still pretty short. You know, I still, like I said, I mean, outside of my love for Cam, I do agree. I think it's and this is where I talk about the offensive line. You know, I'm tired of the argument of the offensive line and everything because we need to fix that. Like nobody's wrong, right? You know, Cody could very well be completely right about his opinion on Cam Newton. The problem is we've seen more often than not he's not. Like he's not the same Cam Newton. Like the evidence that we've given with what he's got has been that Cam Newton can't do it the way that he used to be able to do it, right? But the same can be said about Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold can't do it the way that he was drafted to be done, but at the same time, he's got the same asterisk beside his name that everybody else is going to have, which is, well, he really hasn't had an opportunity to show what he's capable of doing because he's got a garbage situation. And I just don't think I'm so tired of that argument. I'm ready to see who's real and who's not. And I think, unfortunately, as much as I love Cam Newton, I think that there's a ceiling, and I think that ceiling is higher for Sam Darnold. And that sounds so stupid, but I think it's higher than for Sam Darnold than it is Cam Newton, just based on what I've seen.
I mean, you're hoping, and the only reason that anyone's hoping is just because he's younger. And he's never been behind an offensive line that was.
And he can throw the ball off platform. He did a lot of like that throw he threw to Sean Smith today is the reason why draft people nut over him.
It was a good throw, but it wasn't spectacular.
It was on the run off platform and was like
I mean, he's got all the physical traits. That's the part
that's the thing is everybody loves the physical traits, but the problem is he's a crumpler. He's a crumpler. He crumples.
You need quarterbacks in the NFL this day. If you're going to have what I'd call a franchise quarterback, guys who can play without perfect conditions, which is what we tried to argue with Cam his entire career. But you're right.
Man, he made us better.
Maybe he's just maybe Cam is good. He's not elite. I mean, look at Tom Brady today. He was missing 57% of his offense, and he still put up 32 points against the number 2 defense in the NFL. I mean, come on. You need elite quarterbacks to be able to play without perfect conditions because it's never going to be perfect conditions.
I don't want to take anything away from what Tom Brady, because he did a very good job today. Like, I'm not going to take that away from him, but I will take this away from that conversation. He is not, I'm trying to think of the right way to put it. Like, they didn't get a lot of short fielded, like they got a lot of short field situations. And I think that was valuable for them. Because if you look at the majority of their drives, they started out from the other half of the 50 on their side on our side of the 50-yard line, giving them a lot easier situations.
I told you, man, the Bucs did not have a good game today. That is the thing about this is we got blown the fuck out today by a team that was riddled by COVID and injury, who also did not play a phenomenal game. Nobody did anything exceptional on their team. Even the pass rush, when they got 7 sacks, felt unexceptional when you watched all those sacks.
But
there was nothing that the Bucs did that was exceptional. The Panthers were horrendous, and they weren't even the worst we've seen them this season, bro.
but I don't even like criticizing the Buccaneers. Like the better teams in football, even when you're missing players, they're able to maintain some level of consistency. We might hit the New Orleans Saints, but look at how many players the New Orleans Saints have missed this year. And right now, like it or not, they're in contention to get one of the wild card spots. I mean, dude, missing players at a certain point is no longer like, a referendum on
I'm not
winning
saying
or
that
losing.
missing. I'm saying this is they beat us, they spanked us, and they were missing players, huh, man?
Yeah,
like
and
I'm
like
not
they-
saying I'm not using that as a defense of why they lost. I'm saying this is imagine if they had all those bitches. What would their score have been?
it would have been
And they
devastating.
did not play flawlessly. They left a lot on the field today, I believe. And I don't even feel like their defense was just ridiculously dominant. Whoever this Whitehead kid was, game of the year.
Oh, that's our father.
Motherfucker.
That's the
was
Panthers' daddy.
Good God. All right, let's go to the next goal.
Guys, it's official. The Panthers are officially back
Did we hear
in
this one?
obscurity. Complete obscurity. Like total obscurity.
That was wild.
It's awful too, because they just took everything good about this team and wasted it. And it's behind inadequate program building, not understanding how to run an NFL franchise, and sitting up here casting everything on a dead horse like Sam Darnold. How did Sam Darnold go for 9 of 25 for only 100 and something yards, 60 of which was an explosive play on a coverage bust. And yet he's the one with more time in the offense. And then you look at total yards, Cam still had more total yards. Just sans that play. It's at this point, that just shows inadequate preparation, because we knew he was going to play Sam Darnold. So he had to have been giving him some reps. So why did they just look so defeated this game?
Because we suck.
The team is quit. I don't think they have faith in his coaching staff, and Tepper is entirely disconnected if he really thinks that bringing Matt Rule back is going to be another good thing for the Panthers. I can tell you, no free agent is going to want to play for Matt Rule. Seeing the way he throws his players under the bus, they take less money and go elsewhere.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Right.
Absolutely none. Fire Matt Rule. Spend your entire draft on an offensive line. Pray that you can at least bring Cam Newton back, just so that you can have a decent bridge quarterback and a cultural piece. Let's do something to forget.
I feel like we're
about
making
this
fun
horrible-
of him at this point. Nah, I don't want to bring Cam. I feel like we're making Cam Newton. We're making fun of Cam Newton.
Yeah, but by the way, how about this? The biggest reason that I don't want Cam Newton back next year is just because I'm tired of always having to defend him, and I'm always gonna.
That's why I didn't want him back this year.
And by the way, it's I don't give a fuck what people think. Cam Newton is better than the player that you're seeing on this field if you put a better team around him. On the Friday free-for-all, I played the clip of Robbie Anderson during his press conference going to
Which
bat
I don't like Robbie Anderson
for
anymore.
Cam. And look, but say what you want about Robbie Anderson. His answer was 100% the truth about what he said about Cam Newton. I mean, asking any quarterback in the NFL to be successful behind this offensive line with this football
Then why
team,
do it, Batman?
I
I'm
don't
tired of
think it
these
happens,
excuses,
man.
bro. I'm tired of this. I don't wish this on my worst enemy. That's what we're saying about this. Is there's no more excuses to be saying, well, if Cam had better, none of this. I don't want Cam to be the quarterback of the Panthers because of what that will do to him. We've already done him dirty, bro. We've done him dirty. We've done Sam Darnold dirty. We've done, and actually we didn't. Matt Fool did.
Yeah.
Matt Fool did them dirty. Next call.
Hey, real quick.
guys. Merry
Real
Christmas.
quick.
I
Before
think
we
Cody
go
just
forward.
made a good point.
You asked Dan how he picked the Panthers. His answer was, I had to pick a team, and I didn't want to pick just the champs or the Rams. It was between the Panthers and the Titans. I like the run game, and CNC had a couple of good years. I picked the Panthers.
I like
so
that.
yeah, that's how everybody has a different coming to the Panthers tail, man. I'm happy you picked us, man. At least you get to come and hang out on this podcast.
True.
Hopefully that's more fun than actually watching the Panthers. That but
you like some hurt ass running backs though. Both of them.
I think at least for myself, y'all are about y'all about my favorite Carolina Panthers. You know.
Oh.
Love you guys. Keep up the good work, and I'll stick with it through all these times, and we'll get there. No worries.
We are the Andy
Love it,
Dufresne.
man.
We are breaking out of. This is the Shawshank Redemption, folks. We have to crawl through 500 yards of shit to get to freedom. We're only 2 yards in, it feels like.
Yeah.
Next call.
Hey, what's up, C3? Hey, man, my name's Brandon. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
What's up, Brandon?
It's just Skip Bayless pretty much said exactly how I'm feeling. This is a clown show.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt Rule has a big red nose. And, I mean, I don't understand half of the decisions that we make. Half of the own field decisions that we make. It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely infuriating to watch this team. And the thing that really pisses me off more than anything else is knowing if we had a different coaching staff with the exact same roster, we would have a totally different outcome. I mean, you know, look at Pittsburgh wanting to get rid of Mike Tomlin every year. Dude, if we had Mike Tomlin this year with our squad,
They're getting smoked
Just
right now, by
imagine.
the way.
Yeah, they are.
that's all I got to say, man. I'm just so annoyed. and
I'll take Mike
aggravated.
Tomlin.
I'll take it off the air, but thank you guys, man.
I'll take Mike Tomlin for this. Is I want a coach that
Hell
can punch
yeah.
any player in the fucking mouth.
One that
And
cares
they would
about
feel
losing.
I probably deserved it. If Mike Tomlin punched you in the mouth and you're a football player, you're like, dude, I fucked up. You know what I
would
mean?
not, and you would not step. You would
No,
not step.
never.
It's like it's like you trying to tell. When I was young, I used to say this. It's like, oh, my dad ever hit me, I'd fight back. I would get this. You know, like right when you're starting to grow some hair on your chest, hair on your balls. You know what I'm saying? Like you're like, oh, and my dad, I got the best dad. First of all, he adopted me, which is amazing. He's never treated me like I wasn't his son. He might be the most admirable person when it comes to this ever. But he's from a roughneck place, bro. He's from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, which is like tough. It's a tough place.
Yep.
And he's just a good dude, but he is strong. We call him country. I mean, his name is Vernon Wilbur. Like, you want to fuck with a Vernon Wilbur, homie? No, you don't. And he's given me a lot of slack. And he's never F with me in the wrong way. Like when I'm saying is this, I have screwed up a lot. And he has never been like, you're not my son. I gave him a lot of opportunities to be like that. A lot. But I remember this. Like, I remember I got in trouble for smoking something you're not supposed to. It's illegal. I was in high school. My mom's this crazy Italian lady. She's going nuts on me, screaming at me. He's laughing at me. He's just he's like chuckling as he's watching my mom just go nuts on this like 15-year-old little kid. And I looked over him and I said, fuck you. Like I looked him in the eyes and I said, fuck. And I remember saying this. It's like, I would fight. I mean, man, if he ever fights me, I'll fight back. I'll do this shit. I will fuck him up. You know, like this and that. And this motherfucker went from laughing and grinning to like the devil took over him. And he walked over in there and he smacked me like a bitch. Like I deserved to be smacked. And guess what I did? I didn't do shit. That's what Mike Tomlin would do, these players. That's what Mike Tomlin would do. You would be like, oh, I'm going to talk back to this and that. I would talk back to my stepdaddy, Matt Rule. I would not talk back to Mike Tomlin. I would talk back to my stepdaddy, Matt Rule. I would not talk back to my real dad, Vernon Wilbur Dunn Jr. You want to fuck with that name? I dare you to fuck with some Vernon Wilbur. Dare you.
He did to you what I do to you on Debate My Take.
Oh,
Oh shit,
dude! I am mad at your first. I get a little upset about your fan group. Cody Lashley has this fan club that just loves him. Number one, and number two, they give you way too much latitude. Way too much latitude. I totally beat you on that Eric Bieniemy joint last week. I was bringing out stats. You brought nothing. They
No,
were like,
you
"Oh,
didn't.
Cody wins. Cody wins."
Of
They
course.
love him. They love him. Next call. Oh. Is there
I would like to know your thoughts on who are potential replacements for Matt Rule.
Potential. Oh, well, two.
There we go. So look, me and Tony did a debate my take available on this channel now. We both made our points. I made the case for Eric Bieniemy, who is someone that many Panther fans have been wanting to be a coach of the Panthers for a long time. And Tony made the case for Greg Roman. And I thoroughly made better points and had a way better debate than Tony, but that goes without saying, right? But I think that Eric Bieniemy has all the traits and things that you need from a head coach, and the tenure and the Super Bowl rings to prove it, man. And the Chiefs, I think they're the number 1 seed in the AFC right now after starting very poor on offense. So he's also shown as a play caller, they know how to turn things around over there. I mean, Eric Bieniemy has been my number 1 choice for a long time. The sad point is, and I think CK mentioned this earlier, in regards to free agents, players aren't going to want to come here. But if you're a head coach, you're probably going to go somewhere with a lot more established pieces on hand, than come to the Carolina Panthers. I would like for that to happen. But I don't know. I don't know if it will.
All right, next call.
Hey guys, this is Arden Jr. Just wanted to say that, after Brady retires, the Saints don't have a franchise quarterback. The Falcons are not going to have another one. And, if all those teams draft a franchise quarterback ahead of us and we still on the back end, that's what I'm the most afraid of, because that's going to set us back another couple of years. So that's all. That's my thoughts.
Another decade, not a couple of years.
Next call.
Hey, what's up, boys? It's Levi here again. Just calling in.
What's up, Levi?
Man, actually, I was out on the golf course yesterday, and I ended up playing with basically the GM of the gentleman that's working for Charlotte FC, the new MLS team going in. So he's actually pretty tight with David Tepper and his family, and he said, next year, Rule being Tepper's first real hire, he does really want to stick with him, and it's looking like we're going to get one more year. With that said, though, I mean, with the game today, it's just like, how can you even put that product on the field anymore? I mean, it's time to cut our losses and go ahead and just get it over with and start over. I mean, the players just look so enthusiastic and just like they're laying over to die. And I just feel like we really sabotaged the end of Cam's career here. But I know, Cody, you're always looking for something to point to come into Matt Rule's defense. I mean, I ain't got nothing, but one thing that I took away from today that I think just kind of proves how bad of a coach he is like, how many times have we called a timeout on 4th down and discussed it and maybe came up with the play and still went out there and
Clock
didn't
management's
convert?
still an issue.
I just feel like we're being out-coached time and time again. So, hate to see it, man, but love watching your podcast, man. You keep it you keep me sane, man. I appreciate all you guys.
I have one point to that. Like this like multiple times this year that on the first drive of the game, we've taken a timeout. Our first drive of the game, which is the most scripted drive of any team's, like any drive that you're going to do the entire game. This is multiple games that on the first drive, we've had to waste a timeout in the first quarter. Like that. I mean, again, another thing that I'm tired of you talking about is time management and how we don't have a coach that's able to do it. Like when our team should be in hurry up, they don't have any type of get up to them. But when you look at other teams that are elite, that have leaders that are at the helm, that are able to actually, motivate the players that are, there in the backfield or, on the offensive line to get up and just run to this line of scrimmage. Like you're not seeing that from the Carolina Panthers. It just feels lethargic. And I do agree. I think that those random timeouts are a clear mark against Matt Rule's ability to actually be a good coach in this league.
Yeah.
Tell your OnlyFans club about yourself and what you're gonna go do, Cody.
Yeah, man. So I've got some family. Look, so I've got family over. My sister, her daughters are over, and my little nieces. And
Cody's
today was
sister's
the
hot,
today was
too,
the
by
first
the way.
time. Today was the first time that I there was 30 minutes or a few minutes into the third quarter. And I said, dude, I'm done. I'm going to hang out with the fam for a minute. So I missed a lot of the third quarter, but I was able to see a lot of it. But I'm going to get out of here for the night, man. Listen, I just want to tell everybody, thank you for supporting the C3 Panthers podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Cody Lack, CODYLAC. Find all my written work on drafttech.com, where I am the analyst for the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, man, the Friday free for all. We won't have one this Friday, but dude, once the new year hits, come back on Friday. We've been getting more and more people joining the Friday free for all, having an incredible time. That's your opportunity to come and join the show and tell us what you think of these Carolina Panthers. Before I go, I wanted to highlight the follow-up to Dan Floyd's comment. He says, Cody, you're right. Being on here this year has been the highlights of my Panthers season. Thank all you guys for doing this for everyone. We love the community that we've built here on the C3 Panthers podcast. Merry Christmas to everybody and all of your families. Have a very happy new year to everyone. Have a blessed and happy new year. And hey, man, you'll see my face again in 2022 talking about these haphazards known as the Carolina Panthers, boys. So
We might get a debate my take in before then.
Well, we got the Tuesday show too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Your ugly ass face.
Dude, it's been a long day, man. I'm talking too much.
We
That's
love
how
you,
know.
brother. We love you, even though they trying to. This fan club is way too hype about you right now. Way too hype.
It's hard.
Love you,
maybe,
Cody. Tell your mother I said Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Will do.
And
Will do.
thanks
Will
for
do.
everything you do for us, brother. Thank you.
Absolutely. Love you, boys. And hey, get on my level, Tony Dunn. Oh!
Bullshit. It's just ridiculous. Y'all just, I mean, you know what? I mean, how am I gonna hate? I mean, like, how do you really hate on someone who has a great personality, and a great fan club? He got a great fan club.
Why does it sound like you're about to break up with him? Like you have a really good personality.
Or you're debating it in your head.
I know. But you know what? This isn't you. It's me, Cody.
It's not you.
It's not you. This
He's looking
is
for us to give him reasons to pull the trigger is what it is.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Yeah. All right. Next call.
Hey guys, love the show. I'm gonna try to make a rosy, optimistic, as best I can scenario for keeping that rule. Number one, no elite free agent quarterback that's available is going to want to sign with the Panthers because they know that they will get killed behind this piece of shit offensive line and this moron offensive coordinator. Number two, keeping Matt Rule, give him his full 3 years. And if the team sucks again, you get a top 5 draft pick and probably can get your franchise quarterback then. Also in 2000, next year, the Panthers' permanent team headquarters is going to open up. So they will keep Rule for the transition, moving from the existing facilities to the brand new state-of-the-art facilities. Now, here's the deal. Let's say if Rule sucks, they give him the hook. They should have never hired him in the first place as a college coach. So Tepper, he blew it on that one. Well, anyway, get a new
high quality head coaching candidate next season, not for this one, but next year. And then he will have a new, brand new state-of-the-art facility. He'll have a top 5 or top 3 pick to get his franchise quarterback. So this will be a more attractive coaching position to interview for. So those are my reasons for keeping Matt Rule. What say you, gentlemen?
That's exactly the same point that, minus the conversation about the new facility that we'll have opening up that I was trying to get across, which is a new coach coming in here with, like, you're going to have a hard time getting a candidate that's going to want to come to the Carolina Panthers. It's going to be a valuable long-term candidate with what we have currently. But I do agree, like, if we were to bring Matt Rule, we have Sam Darnold, we have limited picks this year in the draft. We're going to have a hard time re-signing some of the free agents we have on this roster at the end of the year. Like, after all of that, like, it's safe to say next year is going to be another wash. And then that means they're going to have a better draft pick, and we'll go from there. And we'll have all our draft picks, hopefully, if not more.
You do not court new coaches with great rosters. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to get a new coach when you have a good roster. You get new coaches when you suck.
Right.
And so instead of kicking the can down the road at this point, is just know that, you know what, you're going to bring in the guy that Fitterer believes in, that they're on the same page on, and they know next year is not going to win. Because guess what we're going to do the following year? What are we going to do the following year when we bring in a new coach? Is we're going to say the same shit. The same exact shit. So I say tear the Band-Aid off right now. Matt Fool turned out to be a fool. It's not working. It didn't work.
I mean, I like I said, I think that we've got to keep in mind, like, we're doing exactly what we did when Sam Darnold was, touted as the next starting quarterback. Like, we
don't want him either.
We have to be somewhat optimistic, right? Like, I mean, if we didn't have any optimism about the future of this franchise, it's hard to continue to want to even watch the game, right?
But why? We're not manufacturing optimism. We were optimistic about Matt Rule because he was new.
Right.
We gave all of these people an opportunity.
Right.
We were rooting for them, and they have rooted against us.
Right. My point being is not that I don't want Matt Rule gone, right? I think we all agree, I've said it before, that Matt Rule is not the answer, and he will not be the answer, at least from what we've seen so far. Right. But if these reports are to be believed that he is coming back regardless, I mean, we've got to have something to look forward to, and the hope is that he's coming back for the simple fact that maybe we are tanking next year and maybe creating a better situation for a new coach the following year. Do I want that to happen? No, I'm ready for Matt Rule. I think he should have been fired 2 weeks ago, right? I'm just pointing out the fact of, listen, if it's not going to happen, we got to understand why it's not going to happen. And I think it's fair to look at that situation and say, okay, maybe, a new coach coming into that situation next year, maybe that's the reason Tepper's thinking about it from this perspective. Or maybe he's not one.
Does that mean he already had an eye on firing him? He's just going to give him.
I'd like to think so.
Is he just trotting him out there next year as the sacrifice?
But I was going to say that's honestly what it looks like. But I don't feel like that's a good idea, because by doing that, then you're already saying that you're planning on tanking next year to make this work. And when you're doing that for a future that you may not know works out. So you're already giving up a year tanking to make this plan work that you don't know if it's going to work out. But if you're already planning on tanking, just go ahead and cut ties. Go ahead and get rid of Matt Rule. Like, if you're already planning on breaking up, just go ahead and do it. Don't try to wait till after this date so that way it feels better. Yeah.
I don't like the comparisons between him and Ron Rivera in year 2. I don't think those comparisons are good. People say, Ron Rivera, people wanted to call for his job. And yes, is that fans react. We do react.
Right.
Like, we get upset. We are emotional. We get blown the fuck out, and we don't like it. We're gonna get up on this. Imagine how hypercritical that's become since the internet has accelerated since 2012. You know what I'm saying? There were not a bazillion podcasts then. There were not a bazillion this and that. So the fact that people were calling for Ron Rivera's head was true. but the heat is not like it is on Matt Rule right now. And number two, Ron Rivera gave Carolina Panthers fans, even in worse years, competitive teams that performed in November and December.
Which is when you
They had some fight in them that saved his job. That you said, oh well, we couldn't stop the run, but they were in these games. There ain't no cardiac cats, bro. In the Matt Rule era, you used to complain. Everybody used to complain about the cardiac cats and how we like they made your heart flutter.
Right.
Guess what? You know what sucks more? Is nobody giving a shit. Like I'm like on a resting. My heart rate during these games is like a resting pace. I'm not even I'm like excited. Anyway, this I don't think it's a good comparison to make between Ron Rivera and Matt Rule. I think it's unfair to what Ron Rivera. I think the other thing is that you knew what you were trying to do with your quarterback, whether or not. I mean, like, is that there was a trajectory set beyond Ron Rivera, and I don't think there's that trajectory set for the Carolina Panthers. Let's go to the next call.
You know, I'm so happy we signed Cam Newton to $10 million the rest of the season.
He sounds like Nick.
When he didn't even play more than a half this game, and it was the last home game of the season.
No.
Matt Rule, are you a fucking idiot?
Yes.
Like, straight up,
I
are
hate
you
to
a
be
fucking
like that
idiot?
about
This is the
somebody,
last
'cause
time
I'm
the
an
Panthers
idiot,
fans
too.
may see Cam Newton at home. And you won't let the man play a full fucking game.
This is Nick.
The only
Montiel.
reason why
I know
Sam
it
Darnold
is.
looked marginally competitive is just because of the very first throw of when he went in. That's it. The dude is straight trash. Okay, now I will give him I will say that the offensive line has not been what it needs to be all season long.
True.
So we really don't necessarily know what we have in Sam Darnold until we have a good offensive line. But we know enough. He isn't the answer. Cam Newton is more of the answer than Sam Darnold is, and Cam isn't necessarily the answer. I'm okay with rolling with Cam for another year, another 2 years.
Yep.
Okay, knowing full well that we aren't going to make it to the Super Bowl with Cam, even if we had a team around him. He doesn't have. It's not that he doesn't have the dog in him. It's just he's not the player that he
I
was.
don't want
and
to
that's
watch
nothing
it
against
anymore.
Cam. This team never did him any right with what we did to the offensive line. We never took care of him. So I mean, you can't expect him to last 12, 15 years and be the same player that he was when he came into the league.
Right.
All right.
Unreasonable.
I'm pretty sure
Well,
this is Nick.
Let's go Bills. Oh wait, they won today and they beat the Pats. Thank
This
God.
is Nick. I know
Count
that's
me in.
Nick Montiel.
It is Nick.
Next call.
Malcolm Flex here. Seems like they had two separate offensive play sheets that they were calling off of. And a lot of the shots, the more nuanced passing concepts, were really going to Sam Darnold, which is kind of funny when you think about it, because by the time he was in there, he was throwing to a lot of cover four shells, a lot of prevents, a lot of things you just normally don't see in the middle of a game that's winnable. So I don't know if there's something here to like cloud the picture and make them look better or something, justify the decision. But I just noticed that it's two completely different offenses. Simplified RPO offense for Cam. Meanwhile, Sam's over here, actually getting a chance to sling the ball. And I mean, both of them have the offensive line in their laps, but one guy has the benefit of having the playbook for X amount of months, whereas the other one.
Tom Brady is a homosexual.
Damn.
All right, final call of the night.
He's got a wife I wouldn't mind.
Joey. What the fuck? That game, you always think that the most recent loss is the worst loss you could ever have. But the next week, and this is the problem with the Panthers, it gets so bad that you think it can't possibly get any worse. And then, it's like hold my beer. Like, it's totally like, if you thought last week was bad, check out this shit we got.
Joey's right on the pulse.
Yep.
It was so bad. There was fire Matt Rule chance at the game, of course, and I was part of them because, I mean, what smart Panthers fan
Even
wouldn't
you
be?
could see it.
You know, I thought there were some passes. Robbie Anderson refused to catch Sam Darnold passes, but that's to be expected.
I have a friend who thinks that
Cam
he
Newton threw a few passes.
does that on purpose.
Could not get any touchdowns. Frankie Louvu still actually played like he knew what he was doing. DJ Moore was all right. Tommy Tremble was all right. It was bad. The stadium was dead again. Because of course I went because I just abused myself every fucking day. Every fucking game week I abuse myself by paying attention to this shit. But it was bad. And you know what the real problem is this year? This year there's no games that we can hang our hat on. Well, no one blew us out. No one blew us out. Because there are no games this year that we should have won. Maybe one or two, but there are no games this year that we could say we should have
He's
won
right.
that game. Mm-hmm. Anyway, guys.
Or that there should have been a different
maybe the
outcome.
Eagles. Maybe the Eagles. Like, I feel like we played a pretty good game in the Eagles, and then that special teams play kind of turned everything around. We still had an opportunity, but I think that was probably the one game where we played well and we did what we needed to do, where we should have won. Or even the Cardinals, I felt like we should have won that one.
We did win the Cardinals.
I know. What I'm saying is, like, we should have. Like, it wasn't like at the end of the game, like at the end of the Jets game, like we didn't play well enough to where we felt like we should have won. Right. At the end of the Houston game, we didn't play well enough to where we thought like, oh, we should have won that game. Like, even though we did win it, like we didn't have this confidence at the end of it. Like, we won, and this is so, like, we're such a great team because we won this game. Like, every time we were constantly like, man, that was an ugly win. Like, the other team came and felt like they played with more passion. I agree with what Joey's saying there. Like, it doesn't feel like this team wants to win.
All right, he came back for more, and it's I think the final call of the night.
Hey,
y'all
guys,
cover me for a second.
Joey again. And you know what? I want to tell y'all something about like how bad this game was. I mean, y'all already know, but y'all didn't go, so y'all really didn't experience. When we came out of the stadium, right? There were these like beautiful, like cute dogs. They were so cute. Like 3 little toy poodles this guy had, and he had like he dressed them all up, and he put a sweater on them with bells and stuff. I pet them, and they were so cute. I told my daddy, I said, Daddy, you know what these are? These are therapy dogs, because you need therapy dogs as a Panthers fan. And then we get on the train, right, to go home, and, like, you know, the light rail train. And so we get on it to go home, and, like, the conductor's doing all this, like, weird shit, like, you know, saying all this stuff every station we stop, basically like acted like he doesn't want anyone else to get on the train. And like we had to stop like a couple times and pull over, which if you're not familiar with Charlotte's light rail, that never happens. But it happened today, like it was twice we had to stop and pull over, and like they powered off and all that other stuff. And like people on the train were like, oh shit. And then like we were even going slow through the fast stretches. I was like, this is so bad that even the Lynx light rail is fucked up. Anyway, guys. Wow.
Yeah. So he's not wrong about how bad it is. And, you know, CK, I actually just got an alert a minute ago, and I'm trying to find the article. I got an alert from NFL.com about Sam Darnold taking the job back and how he's expected to start next Sunday. I got an alert for it, and I clicked on it, and I didn't bring the article, and now I can't find the article anywhere on NFL.com. It's like, well, damn. I mean, I believe it.
I know. I mean, I think that statement, taking the job back, like it was ever like a competition to begin with. Like, it was always Sam Darnold's job, and Cam Newton was never here to take it from him. He was here to, you know, hold the torch and maybe get us through Sam Darnold's injury. I mean, I'll put it out there like this. I mean, we talked about Mark Sanchez being a horrible announcer.
Mm-hmm.
everything Mark Sanchez said today was just like constantly saying like, oh, putting Sam Darnold in this situation was such a bad decision.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm just sitting there thinking, because why would you put him? Like, you're going to hurt his confidence. I'm like, you're acting like Cam Newton, like he wasn't the starting quarterback at the beginning of the fucking year. Like he wasn't brought in here to be the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. And if anything, you should be having that same feeling of like of a visceral reaction to Cam Newton being put into this squad, into this
He
team.
never gets that excuse.
Like it's the fact that so many people are like saying like Sam Darnold got the short end of the stick today coming in with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm like, dude has had more games this year than Cam Newton has, and you're making a bigger excuse for him. That's just so stupid.
Yeah. I mean, it almost makes me feel like bringing Cam in was to protect PJ Walker. They didn't want to put PJ Walker behind that and ruin his psyche or his reputation. So then, like, well, fuck Cam, we'll do that to him. We don't care. So they brought him in just to save PJ Walker because, like I said, it just none of anything what they do makes any sense. And Tony, I was just telling him I got an alert from NFL.com saying that Sam Darnold is expected to be the starter next week, taking the job back is what it said.
Took it back.
Yeah, so
he took it back tonight. I mean, I'm glad. You know what? Like, I don't even hate him. I don't hate anybody on this. I just hate what I hate what we have to deal with.
Right.
And so you know what is who gives a shit if he is the starter? I mean, it's just I don't know what the alert I need to get from NFL.com that's going to make me feel better.
There's not going to be one. We get a whole new offensive line, like Carolina trading offensive line.
Yes.
Carolina's no draft picks for 4 years. We got 5 new offensive linemen. So
all right, that's the C3 Panthers post game show. Let's do some player of the games, tell the shame, dab on them picks as we call it. Dab on them pick. Hard. I mean, it sucks. I wanted to give a dab on them pick to Cam Newton and what would be his final game, arguably, in Bank of America, and may arguably be his final game for the Carolina Panthers. I would not be surprised if they did some weird shit where they're like, oh, well, we're going to start Sam Darnold and Cam's got a shoulder. Something, so we're gonna get PJ. So I want to dab on Cam, but there ain't really nothing to dab on. I'm sorry, man. Is that that pass that he threw, that interception? I don't want to hear about people in his lap and this and that. And
I mean, it wasn't anybody. He literally, his arm got hit by his own offensive lineman. Like anybody would have thrown that ball like that.
Yeah.
Like that, I mean,
where was he throwing it to? Where was he throwing it to?
If you look at that, like Sanchez was saying, where were you? Like there was a soft zone area right there for I can't remember who the wide receiver was. Like I was thinking it was going. It was
defending the throw.
Yes, dude. That throw was like it was not a problem. Like it was the problem again. And this is where I'm saying I'm tired of the conversation about the offensive line. Is the problem with that play was our offensive line couldn't keep out of Cam Newton's lap. And like literally got into his throwing, like where his own helmet, our own offensive lineman hit his elbow as he's throwing the ball. Like we've seen plenty of quarterbacks throw interceptions when they get their arm hit. And that's the part. Like
I can't even praise him for. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Like it just like it would have. There was a lot of people over there. And yeah, you can give me this and that and this and that, but like there was a lot of people over there. It ended up being a pick. Like I mean, like what am I supposed to say? All right, my dab on them. I got to dab on somebody. I got to give somebody a good game, and it's Liram Halejuja.
There you go.
Liram Halejuja. He accounted for all 6 points for us tonight. 6 points. Thank you, Halejuja.
This game was so bad, I can only dab on players for like I have to go and pick like specific plays, and I'll just say
maybe Brady Christensen.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Shi Smith for that for the big
Ooh,
catch he had with
yeah.
Sam Darnold, just simply because that was a broken play and he recognized it. He broke free from his
Look at
defender,
this. Right here.
and he caught the ball. I mean, so it
You're
was one
right.
play,
Yeah.
but it was,
And it made everybody cheer. Wasn't that funny? The juxtaposition.
Right.
That was, I think, the first play that Sam Darnold came in. So they were booed the fuck. And then all of a sudden you hear the crowd cheer. You're like, oh my gosh.
Right.
Oh,
Pick
as soon as he made that,
side,
as soon as he
bitches.
made that pass, the first thought on mine was, "Oh gosh, I might be eating a ton of crow on the show today," but it ended up playing out not to be that way. So,
CK, you got a dab on him?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to go to the other team, right? I mean, Antonio Brown came out here and made Stephon Gilmore look like he was a rookie, undrafted free agent. I know that may be a bit of an exaggeration, but when you look at what happened today and how many times that Stephon Gilmore was caught with his back to Antonio Brown, Antonio Brown won that matchup, and there was not even a close argument that you could make that that wasn't on Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore was, in my opinion, possibly the worst secondary member of this team today.
The towel of shame pick, which this goes to where people used to say it was bad. You remember, when people used to get mad at Cam, they say it was pouting, and then Cam even he tucks it in now, so it doesn't look as pouty, I guess. My towel of shame really goes to Matt Rule. I mean, this is the talent shame goes at this point is we are whatever this team's record is better than they are.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they won 5 games is miraculous. And that's not about talent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if it's about coach. I don't know what it is. But at the end of the day, this team is the least interesting Panthers team that I have ever covered on this podcast. And we've been doing this podcast every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. C3 Panthers podcast since 2013. You know what? I'll give one other talent shame. Chuba Hubbard, man, he just ain't good.
Yeah, I tried to defend him last week, but I couldn't this week. Yeah.
Out of all the shit, I used to love some Cameron Artist Payne. I used to love, I had some of these, and they would be like, oh, no. I'm telling you this, is Chuba Hubbard's got more opportunities than 9 out of 10 backup running backs that I've ever covered for this team have, and he's been worse than 10 out of 10 of them.
Yeah.
So Chuba Hubbard, you get my talent shame too. Matt Fool, Chuba Hubbard, hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more.
Mine's gonna go to kind of touch on what CK was saying. I'm gonna give it to Stephon Gilmore for a couple different reasons. I mean, same reasons, but just to add on to it. Antonio Brown, while he is one of the best receivers of my time, is not there anymore. He's been suspended. He hasn't played in weeks, and he ran all over you. Not to mention, you used to play with this guy in, on defense. Like you practice against the first teams. You know this guy, how good he is, what he can do, his speeds, everything, and you still let him run all over you. Stephon Gilmore, minus the 1 interception I think that he had the first game we got him, hasn't really impressed me very much.
Yep.
As we've seen him. So he gets my towel of shame this week.
My towel of shame is going to go to Matt Rule's lack of ability to handle clock management stuff. And honestly, it's actually, you know what? I changed it. My towel of shame is going to go, or my ice up. Is it ice up? Or no, we're doing towel of shame. Yeah. My towel of shame is going to the DBO sign.
Yeah. Yeah. Turns out Matt Rule's going to touch that on the way out the door.
Right.
All right. We got to get out of here. It's been a long road. This is the C3 Panthers post-game show. We're here after every game, despite the wins, losses, and kerfuckles. I think I just made a new word up.
You did, yeah.
Kerfuckly is actually what it should be called, which is what is the Panthers season. We're here on Tuesday nights live, 9 p.m. The C3 Panthers podcast, the longest running Panthers podcast out there. You can be a part of the show by participating in the chat room like so many of you have been doing tonight, and we appreciate your support. Smash the thumbs up buttons another way. Subscribe on YouTube. Check us out on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts is another way to support the show. You can find ways to donate to the podcast in the show notes, but what you can do the most is be here on Tuesday night. Call in at 252-228-5098. Leave a message. We want to hear what you have to say about this team, their future. Matt Fool, Matt Rule, Matt Drool, Phil Snow, Phil.
Phil No.
Phil No. Phil, see you later. Good Lord. My name's Tony Dunn. You can follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Go ahead and give me a follow. Come talk to me about football. I will probably say the same things I always say. Love Cam Newton. Hate to see it go this way. CK, how can they find you on the intranets?
You can find me all over the place. You can find me at on Facebook Gaming, Codizzle Allen. You can find me on the social medias, TikTok, all that stuff. Go check me out. And hey, listen, it's not a lot of Panthers content outside of my Twitter. But if you're interested in watching video games or anything like that, pop by. I did get a new virtual reality headset
Nice.
for Christmas, so I'm gonna be playing some games, maybe putting that on stream, maybe putting some videos up on that. And if you guys, I think that would be something super cool for us to maybe get into like a VR Zoom chat, and like we can just do the show as our animated characters.
You can do that?
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure there's something
I have an
daughter runs, like-
Oculus, like if that can work in this process, I can be a part of it.
Yeah.
Greg, how can they get after you, my friend?
You can find me at the Bat Daddy 52 on Twitter is my personal handle, or check out at SCS Podcast One's my other show, live Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. We talk about television, books, movies, all kinds of different forms of media. And this week, I think if you're a Star Wars fan, Book of Boba comes out real soon. We're going to cover that, and season 2 of Witcher, I think it's this week, both in the docket. So
And go back and
check it
watch
out.
their discussion on the new Matrix.
Yeah, it was fun. Very fun. Just came out.
Except
I'm actually
for-
publishing it right now. Yeah.
Yep, we'll go back and watch that. They were on YouTube in this Merry Christmas type stuff. Hey, look, Merry Christmas. And all I can say is hope a happier new year. Until then, we're out of here, folks. Good luck and keep